Hello, everybody.
Hello. We are live.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Hell yeah.
Let us know.
Here, let me pull it up on Twitch here.
Yeah.
My cat is scratching at the door like a fucking madman.
Just
Stop! What are you doing? You can. He's so scary, so creepy. She's like scratching at the door, like she can't just walk under it.
Oh man.
Let me pull this up here.
It's all good.
All right, we're here. Hello, everyone.
Yeah, it's finally here. We've actually been talking about this since we left the movie theater about is it like 2 weeks ago at this point?
Is it already been 2 weeks? I mean, yeah, because I guess because I saw it again on that Saturday. So yeah. No, it's been a week.
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I guess that has been a week. It feels like because
I saw it again that Saturday. Yeah, it feels like weeks when you watch a movie that's 3 hours long twice.
Already
hello. Hello everyone, how's it going? So while we're here, before we do any introductions, I just want to just lay out the rules and stuff like that. So for the first 20 minutes of this, me and Mario are just going to quick discuss our thoughts here. For the most part, this discussion, the spoiler cast, when we let people in, are going to be more of a platform for everybody else to talk about the movie. Of course, we'll interject and talk about shit, but for the most part, we just kind of want to get our initial thoughts out there before we drop the platform for everybody else. So yeah, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Batman spoiler cast. I'm excited. I'm really excited to talk about this movie finally on a platform. I've been holding it in. I've DM'd Mario this document that I've been writing notes in. It's like 3 pages long and it has the entirety of what happened to the Batman in it. I literally came home and literally jotted down everything that happens in the movie just in case we needed it. So we have that on file if we ever need it. But yeah, no, we're here. We're here to talk about Batman.
People should see the document. It really looks like the Riddler's notebook at the end of the movie.
Yeah, there's notes and stuff like that. But just to start off, man, how you doing? How's your week?
It's been busy. Obviously, every day I've been doing some major work stuff. Haven't really had a chance to really consume much. So this is really just a sort of an outlet that I've had for this weekend that I get to just hang out with my friend, talk about things that I love. So this is why I'm happy we're here. I did almost pass out and miss the time in which we were supposed to meet because I ate pizza and I fell asleep. That's what happens when you turn 33 this month. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, we're here. So I guess let's get started, man. The Batman.
Yes. Yeah.
So I guess first and foremost, let's get some unspoilery things out of the way, and then we can move into spoilers, and then we can open it up to some people jumping in. Yeah. So yeah, the Batman. First and foremost, what do you think of the Batman? What did you think going in, and what did you think coming out?
I would say going in, I knew that the movie was going to be good, right? I didn't have any reservations that this would be a bad movie whatsoever because I'm a massive fan of Matt Reeves. Actually, the very first movie that I ever saw that he did, which of course was Cloverfield. And I really love Cloverfield, the very first one. And when he was announced to do this, obviously since Cloverfield, he's done Let Me In, which is a really great remake of I believe it's a Swedish vampire film. And then he did the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes series, which, holy shit, if you've not seen Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and then a war, the names are bad. Don't get me wrong. And the names are wrong. But the movies are fantastic. If you have not seen
they look amazing. Absolutely. Yeah, they look amazing. Like I haven't really seen. I don't think I've seen the second and third one, but
you would love them. You would love
them. They I've seen trailers and I've seen clips of them from here and there, and they look fucking great.
They're gorgeous.
They're really good.
Yeah. And then that led to this where I'm like, okay, cool. We got Matt Reeves. Every time I've seen him talk about the film, I've been getting more and more excited. And going in now, watching the film, yeah, this was the right person to do this sort of detective story, sort of mix of David Fincher. I mean, doing David Fincher to me better than most David Fincher movies in a lot of ways. But honestly, I think he captured the mood and tone for what I think the Robert Pattinson Batman would do in a lot of ways. And yeah, I'm very happy with what we got. Do I have some issues? A little tiny ones, to be honest. There's a lot of Batman movies I've watched over the years, and there's a lot of egregious things that they have done that I find, pretty shocking. But to be honest, this was not one of them. I really had a great time.
Yeah, no. I think it was very evident when the first trailer of this movie dropped. When me and Mario sat in. I wish we recorded it because we went fucking hard, but we sat down for DC Fandom. It was late. I think it was like almost like 12 midnight when they finally showed the trailer for it because it was a really long fandom.
Yeah.
And we saw it, and I think we popped off, man. It was that trailer, that first initial trailer, set the tone for everything of this movie. And it looked amazing. Everything looked good. The music was amazing. The tone of it was amazing. So going into it, it definitely didn't feel like it was going to be a flop.
Mm-hmm.
You can sometimes tell when a movie has a chance to be a flop, and this one was just like, yeah, there's no way it's going to be a flop. It might not be the best Batman movie, but there was no way it was going to fail, right?
Yeah.
So then when we saw it, I think within the first 10 minutes, I knew this was going to be special. You weren't there yet for this part.
No.
Right.
Disclosure, I have missed, I think maybe the
10
first
minutes.
10 minutes because I got stuck at work. But hey, I made it through the rest 3 hours, so I think I'll be okay.
So this movie, without spoiling that for you too hard, it starts like a horror movie. It definitely is like stalker and prey type deal, and then it moves into a monologue. And honestly, that was one of my going to like other movies and stuff like that. One of my favorite things of like Watchmen, for example. The reason I really like the Rorschach character and really like Alan Moore's work was the monologues from Rorschach, like October 1st, 1989, Dog Carcass Alley, shit like that, right? Just hearing the monologue over just watching the city like do its thing was amazing in that movie. And Batman does something very similar in the beginning of this one. You see the city, like in different parts of the city of crime happening, and Batman, monologuing over it, saying stuff like, I'm in the shadows, the city fears me, stuff like, I can't be in the city I can't be everywhere all at once. So this is my way of instilling fear. I am the shadows. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. And as soon as I heard those words, I was just like, yeah, this is going to be good. Because this isn't a Batman who wants to be everywhere all at once, right? He knows he has limitations. He knows he can't do everything, but he has a good idea of, if I instill fear in them, I can technically be everywhere all at once. You know what I mean? Even though I'm not there. Yeah. And from there on, I knew like, okay, this is going to be good because Matt Reeves understands Batman. You know what I mean? Batman can't be everywhere at once. He's not Superman. But, instilling that fear definitely, is that core thing of what Batman is. He's fear to criminals and he's hope to people. But yeah, no, we once we sat down and actually saw like the first few moments of the film, I knew this was going to be damn good. What did you think of the film overall, though? Like, did you?
Yeah. I mean, overall, I would say, and also to comment on like what you were saying, like that reminds me of like the early Frank Miller comics of the monologue, right? It's always that internal thing that you read when you're watching these films, but when you go to movies, majority of them don't have it, except this one. This one has that, so that's really cool. But when it comes to the movie, I think the movie is really a very exceptional noir film that has a superhero tint to it, right? It's very much this cat and mouse of trying to up one in another between Batman and the Riddler, while there's a greater story being held with the central police there, and obviously within the crime syndicates as well, and how they're all actually not so different from each other. And I found that to be actually very interesting, and the way that they were figured out in the film and the way that it was laid out. There's definitely a seed of corruption spread throughout the whole thing. And I found it interesting how a character who is bathed in darkness but pure of light in a lot of ways, right? He's trying to be the good beacon of trying to save the city, but at the same time in the scariest way possible, having to go and go through these muddy waters. And I honestly thought that the way that the film captured it all the way through, even from his sort of character arc throughout the story, really was really cool. Even the side characters, I mean, they definitely probably don't have the most in terms of arc changes as the Batman specifically. But for it being a sort of not necessarily a Bruce Wayne story, but this is Batman. Batman is Bruce Wayne. They're not two different people there. One versus the other. The other one's the mask, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a theme that they even explore in the movies as well. At least in this one, I I don't really know if it's ever really explored as hard as it is in this one than it really is in like other movies. I know like
The Dark Knight, maybe.
in the
Yeah.
Dark Knight, you know what I mean? Like the Joker mentions like, I don't really care who you are because this is you. Same thing in this movie. You have a villain who's like, I don't really care who's under the mask because the mask is you. You know what I mean? Your mask allows you to be who you really truly are.
Yeah.
And that's a theme throughout this whole film is that, it's a bunch of people with really masks on. You know what I mean? Whether you're within the seedy underbelly of the crime syndicate, you obviously have a projection to what the public sees and then what, it's truly you. And then you have people like Batman, Selina, and the Riddler who physically wear masks but act how they actually want to, and when they take off their masks they're entirely different people.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's definitely a very interesting like way of telling the story, and it's honestly the best way you could have told the story. Everybody kind of has their own kind of secrets in this movie, and everybody has their own villain as well. Like Batman has the Riddler, Selina. I mean, even though Falcone is in the movie, he's not necessarily Batman's villain. He's Selina's villain. And that they have their own separate arcs in between those two characters, because Selina doesn't really give a shit about the Riddler in this movie.
No, totally secondary to what her goal is.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, everybody has their own kind of arc. The Penguin's just in there, but he obviously has his own thing too, because it's very much a beginning story for him too as well.
Yeah, it's 100% like the origin of the Penguin in a lot of ways. Especially in comparison to how he's been depicted before, right? I mean, the last one, he was a circus freak in Batman Returns, and then of course he was just some sort of like weird gangster kid in Gotham, the TV show. Those are the major depictions that I know of, and obviously from the Batman '66 show. But yeah, I do find the fact that he's a part of this sort of secondary, just sort of like a red herring in a lot of ways. But ultimately, just a fun inclusion by Colin Farrell, to be honest.
Yeah. So I guess it's about time I'd say we're going to go into some spoilers here. So if you haven't seen the Batman, 100%, I thought it was a solid 10 out of 10. I can't really say this as a Batman film. You know what I mean? It's a solid 10 out of 10. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I watched it twice and I literally could not sit there and say I hated any of it.
Yeah.
Because the second time you watch a movie, you're like, maybe I didn't like that as much as I did before. But no, after watching the second time, I was like, yeah, no, this is fucking great. But yeah, no. So we're going to start going into spoilers. I'm pretty sure you also agree with me on this one in some ways that this is pretty much the best Batman film they've made so far.
Oh, man, it's hard. It's so hard to say that. And the reason why, and I have a massive affinity for Batman Begins. Exactly
what to say.
No, Batman
Begins.
Because I really love the way that they bring up the character. And this is year one Batman specifically. I do think that they shortcut quite a bit in that film to get him to where he needs to be. But I still love the journey of that film, going from, sort of vagabond Bruce Wayne to, League of Assassins with Ra's al Ghul. So it's like, there are elements of Batman Begins that I really love, and it feels comic booky as fuck, especially at near the end of it. It's realistic but comic booky, and I think that's what I think this movie captured better. But I struggle to say like which one I enjoy more. One's a little bit more lighthearted, let's be fair. This one's definitely the dark, grimmer, and gritty. And you know me, I've never been the most like gritty is the greatest thing in the world. But at the same time, I can't fucking deny that this is not one of the coolest Batmans that I've ever got to experience on screen on so many levels.
I definitely mean more in terms of like as a Batman movie, a 10 out of 10, because it's
a Batman's first movie.
It's about as accurate to comics as I think we could really get without going too hard in like Batman with prep territory. You know what I mean? Like we could go straight like Batman wins every fight. Batman has all this tech and stuff like that. We can really kind of, draw at straws here. Like, what Bruce Wayne could really do. Yes. But in terms of a grounded Batman story, like he fights like a year two Batman would. He uses the same technology a year two Batman would. There was definitely some careful consideration into like what makes the character within this movie, more so than I would say even like the Dark Knight Returns or like, you know, Batman Begins and stuff like that. At least for me, you know what I mean. Like I told you earlier, I always have a controversial takes on those movies, which is I think Christian Bale did an amazing job as Bruce Wayne. I don't think he's a good Batman. Like he's a very stiff and not really movable Batman. He's very just like not poser, but posing Batman.
Posing, understandable.
Yeah, it's like all the shots are like poses of him doing Batman poses and stuff like that. Where this Pattinson one, his like the poses that you see are like the still images of it is just him moving around.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like, definitely a cool Batman. But we're gonna move into some spoilers here for a little bit, and then we're gonna open it up to people in about 10 more minutes.
Yeah.
Damn, this movie's fucking good. Yeah. What did you? So the Riddler, first and foremost, we should really talk about the Riddler really quick. What did you think of the Riddler, man? Would you like? This is definitely a different interpretation of the Riddler than we've seen in media. I wouldn't say it's a definite different interpretation that we've seen in comics.
Yeah.
Because we've definitely seen the serial killer like Riddler in comics, but in terms of like the mass media, usually the Riddler is just some jokey character who drops off some one-liners and moves along. Mm-hmm. What did you think of Paul Dano's Riddler this time around?
I've always been a massive fan of the character of the Riddler. I love the look of him. He's probably second to me in terms of the way I love Joker in a lot of ways, and just sort of theatrics and, you know, the actual gimmick itself. And I grew up loving the Jim Carrey interpretation of the Riddler. I have photos of me in the costume as a child. I used to do the dance. Like I used to copy him verbatim. This is not a Joker I would have grown up to love, to be totally honest. But as an adult, and to see his sort of connection to the character of like the Zodiac Killer, or even like the killer from the movie Seven, right? He's 100% very similar to John Doe in that film. I really, really do enjoy this sort of, and we're going the full spoilers here, this sort of e-boy evangelist, sort of like, yo, my followers are out there, you know, I'm doing this for you, you know, sort of like how can I describe him? Yeah, just sort of this weird just psychopath that's willing to go into really dark places to like have other people do things for him, for his plot to unfurl. And I think that's really fascinating about the character.
He says it later in the movie when he's behind the bars and everything like that. He says it himself. He's just like, I'm not a person who can enact these plans. I am a person who thinks them up.
Yes.
And it makes sense for the character because he's just some scrawny dude who's an e-boy. You know what I mean? He's going to get other people to do it for him. And obviously, throughout the film, you got Batman to do most of his dirty work, and of course his followers. At first, I think we talked about this as soon as we finished the film. It felt like political commentary in a way, because they definitely took assets, even like screenshots from like 4chan and shit like that. It's very evident also in like the Rada Alada website as well, that this is very 4chan like focused and stuff like that. And I thought it was kind of like weird political commentary at first, but then I thought about it more as like the days went on, and I was like, it would make sense for somebody in this universe, right? Mm-hmm. Or in our timeline, if they were to like do some crazy shit like the Riddler would, to get henchmen this way. Like, this is how you get henchmen in 2022. You have henchmen followers.
Let me provide a real life example. 8chan, QAnon. In a lot of ways, you rile these people up, you get them, you know, sort of like in this idea that the world is corrupt and they're wrong and blah, 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 blah. And what do? You tell them that all these false promises, and then you have them do the dirty work for you in live action, right? To me, it's very much a reflection, and I know that this movie was made before, it was being developed before January 6th, but I still think that the movies are always reflective of their time, and I do feel like that could be the real life example of like, this is all happens when you rile up a group of people and make them go out and do bad shit. That's how it feels to me, but I do think that this is sort of like an amalgamation of what you're saying, right?
Yeah, because like it makes sense. You know what I mean? Like this is how you gain followers. This is what followers would probably do if this was a realistic thing. Yeah, only 500, right? But I mean, it only takes 10, right, to make a real big difference. But no, Paul Dano's Riddler, he was terrifying, man. He was absolutely terrifying. Like he's a scrawny little dude. He's got a very punchable face. You know what I mean? But just the amount of like untouchableness he had in this movie, where like, you can see me, you know where I am, and you're near me, but you can't do anything to me.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's that feeling of just like helplessness when like Batman's around him that like made him scary. It just made him feel like powerful, and that's something that you don't think you would ever see out of the Riddler of all fucking people, right?
Hmm.
Like I said, you can read the Batman comics, and he has some scary moments within those, but he's always been more of a lighthearted character in those things, even when he's scary, right? This one, he's straight up horror movie kind of villain and stuff like
Yes.
that. Um, let's wrap our little smaller me and you discussion up with one last little question here I have for both of us before we
Sure.
open it up to other people. Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Yes. Let's talk about that.
I think this we'll talk about Selena and we'll talk about the other characters more when we open it up to other people, but I really want to have a one-to-one here with you about Robert Pattinson's Batman. Now, I will be first to admit that when I heard Robert Pattinson was going to be Batman, I lost my shit a little bit. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Why? To be fair, though, it was also in a time where we still had Ben Affleck's Batman.
Yes. Yes. I
We
agree.
we had a rumor of a Joker movie that was going to tell the origins of the Joker, and then this was announced.
Yeah.
And it was a very confusing time because it's like, well, for one, why the fuck would you make a movie about the origins of the Joker? It's like the number one rule you don't do. Two, why would you make another Batman movie when we obviously have a Batman right now? And three, why is it Robert Pattinson of all people? I will say I at the time 100% I was still hung up over Twilight. If you grew up in a time with Twilight, all you wanted to hear is nothing. You do not want to hear about Twilight. It was like, I don't fucking care about Robert Pattinson. I don't care about Twilight. Please stop bothering me about this book and this movie. I do not care. It's kind of like the Hunger Games thing. You know what I mean? You either like the Hunger Games or you hated hearing about it. So when I heard about Robert Pattinson being Robert Pattinson being the Batman, I was just like, why and who the fuck cares, right? So throughout the years, me and Mario was trying to convince me that this Batman's going to be really good. I started seeing Robert Pattinson in more things, and I started respecting him more as an actor and stuff like that. And I started to come around to the idea that okay, fine, the Joker was good. At the time where I started to come around, Ben Affleck's Batman was obviously not happening much anymore on the way out. And then the trailer dropped, and I was just like, yeah, no, this is it, man. This is the shit right here. I do definitely 100% regret not giving Pattinson a chance in the first place, but like I said, there was just so many different like variables there that's just like this didn't really make sense. And at the time, DC really wasn't making the best choices, so I thought this was one of those bad choices. But yeah, what did you think of Pattinson's Batman in this movie?
Yeah. Well, to preface it, yeah, there were movies that I saw that I was like, you know what, I could see it, and those movies were The Lighthouse and of course, Good Times. Which, if you've not seen Good Times, please see it. It's really fantastic. He is quite exceptional as the Batman, right? He has a presence to him, the way that he looks, it's the jawline. I mean, these are all things when I think of Robert Pattinson, right, and you think of his good looks, you're gonna think of Twilight. When I think of Twilight, I don't think of like that solid jawline. I think of it as like a more of a pointy thing for some reason. Because mostly he's always looking like this in that movie. So I never really noticed.
He's always like blue stealing.
Yeah, he's always blue stealing in that movie. But when you see him in the suit, and that suit looks good.
That suit looks so damn good.
So
There were times where I would 100% say that it was taking out of like a CGI like game or something like that.
CGI
You know what I mean?
Batman trailer from Blur or something. Like, it looked incredible.
Yeah,
And
there's a shot that looks right out of like an Arkham City trailer.
Yes.
Like it's like
Yes.
Jesus Christ, the suit looks so fucking good and he looks amazing in it.
Yeah, he looks incredible with it, even when he's in a room full of people. And those are the elements in the trailer I was always like worried about. I was like, what? How is Batman in a room full of people not going to be goofy? And no, he still has a presence on him to the point where it's like I'm watching him think as he's walking around this room and sort of coming up with ideas like what's happened and like figuring out these riddles. And so, no,
Playing through the whole like scenario in his head almost.
yes, taking away like visually for video games, right? We have that, it's called detective mode. It's where he has this thing in his thing and he matches everything. In this movie, you actually see it through his acting. You can see him actually kind of putting things together and sort of placing it as it goes along, and he does a phenomenal job in terms of his dialogue outside of being Bruce Wayne. No, he's a recluse. He doesn't really have this sort of relationship with a lot of people, and he comes across weird with certain things. Like, for instance, he is totally alien when he's Bruce Wayne. When you see him at the funeral scene, he's totally not someone you would approach, And then whenever people do, it's like he's like totally like, get the fuck away from me for the most part.
Yeah, he's very much, he doesn't know how to act as like they say, like Matt Reeves has said in his interviews and stuff like that. He doesn't really know how to be Bruce Wayne. He doesn't know what it entails to be Bruce Wayne because he's been gone for so long. And then when he comes back, he's not really taking up that mantle of what it means to be Bruce Wayne. He's just kind of like, oh, I'm gonna hide and be Batman most of the time. But yeah, he looks amazing in the suit. The jawline looks good. I thought the makeup would look kind of goofy, but like it works. It works so well because you see like the white in his eyes and like the color. Whenever it's like a close up of him, that's all you see is just his eyes, and it looks amazing every time it's on screen. It looks I thought the cape would look goofy because it's like just like this big ass cape and stuff like that. But even when he's fighting in it, like it doesn't seem like it gets in the way or stuff like that. He looks like he can move around in the suit, which is what I said earlier with like Bale being not really a good Batman. You watch those movies and he's just like this 9 times out of 10, whereas this Pattinson one, he's standing how a normal person would stand, and when he fights, he looks like he can actually like do some karate kicks and stuff like that. This is honestly like in my opinion too, like one of the better Batman suits, because it's just it looks tactical but realistic, like for a Batman suit, and it looks insanely good even in like dark areas or even in light areas in the movie. Even when it's like daytime in the movie, it looks so fucking good.
And even the suit is practical in every aspect of it. I mean, even when we see him pull from the bat symbol, and first I thought it was going to be a batarang, but really it was like sort of a knife sort of deal. I'm like, that's awesome. The fact that there's some utility to every sort of compartment, all the way down to this button at the bottom that, I'm very curious to talk about that. But ultimately, I think that as a functionality of the suit, it looks fantastic. Him underneath it feels like a presence. He feels like a more leaner version of like, say, like the year one version that I know, but he's built like a tank with the suit, right? Because he takes bullets. This man straight up, like, he's not Michael Keaton. When he gets shot, he gets knocked out. He takes bullets and he keeps going.
Yeah, he takes them. It's very the suit is so streamlined that it kind of reminds me of those cloth suits where like it looks like you can still see like the person under the suit. He's not walking around like this. Like Ben Affleck, he's not walking around like he can't put his fucking arms down like it's a Christmas Story. He's walking around. It's very natural, and it has that streamlined look of like a cloth suit. But obviously, he has to have some kind of bulletproof nature to it. So it's definitely small enough so that he can still get the bulletproof part, but like not big to the point where he looks like he's in a mech suit or something like that. Yeah, it looks amazing. I think this suit's one of my favorites. I too also thought that was going to be a batarang. I thought he that's the one thing he didn't do in this movie that's kind of surprised me. He didn't throw any kind of batarangs or anything like that. No. He definitely has some technology more in the suit that we haven't seen yet. Like there's a point where he does like shock somebody with like his gloves and stuff like that. I do wonder if he has something for the cowl, like most Batman suits have, like if someone touches the cowl it shocks them or something like that. I always wondered about that too throughout the movie. Like it looks like leather, but like if you were to get shot in the face with that, is there something under it? Like I don't know. But they definitely take the idea of other things too with that bat suit, where like criminals don't shoot the face, criminals shoot the symbol. You know what I mean? That's where all the armor is, and that's mostly where Batman gets shot in this movie. It's all there. But yeah, no, it's oh man, it's such a good suit. Pattinson did an amazing job, even in his like little small moments of just standing still and listening to somebody else, right? His small little movements. There's a scene with the Riddler where he's talking about, Bruce Wayne and stuff like that, and you see the fear in his face You know what I mean? He's like, there's a point where like the Riddler says Bruce Wayne, and he's like staring at Batman, and he's just kind of not looking at the Riddler directly, but he does this thing where like he's just straight faced, but he says Bruce Wayne, and you just see him just go like he like winces for a minute there, like just hearing his own name. And it's stuff like that where it's like you can't really do much with dialogue for Batman, I would say, in terms of like in a scene like that, but it's all in the face. And then once obviously the whole like scare is gone, you can see the relief in his face when he looks back at the Riddler's like, oh really? Okay, we're good then. And then the whole demeanor changes. Like it's stuff like that you see in like The Mandalorian, right? Where like you have a boxy face, but it's all in the movement of the body, and it's all in just the way that he moves his head and stuff like that, that you feel emotion. And Pattinson nailed that throughout this film. He didn't have to say a word half the time. He knew exactly what he was thinking. But yeah, so let's go ahead. It's been we can keep discussing, but we're now just going to open it up to people. So if you're in the chat and if you're in our Point in Progress Discord, come on in. Let's talk.
Yeah. If you are in our Discord, we actually have a room called Wayne Manor waiting. You're going to go ahead and throw you there, and then we'll pull you into our chat. So it looks like we're going to get somebody in there. While you're also there, let you know, we have a video component. Oh, Frank's video apparently just disappeared. That was terrifying.
Then we'll fix it with Ninja really quick. Just give me 1 second.
Okay. Oh, I see. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and bring on our first major guest. Here we go.
Hello.
Kale, are you there?
Hello.
Hey, Kale. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Would you like to have your camera involved too, or do you want to just chat?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
No. Actually, I'm going to show you something. I'm going to go ahead and turn it off. I'm going to give you a link. We got some cool technology that we've been doing.
We got cool technology.
I believe I pasted it to you. If anything, I'm going to try again. Copy. Yep, Frank's already back.
Is my camera back though?
Yeah,
it doesn't. I don't see the Ninja. Okay, cool. We're good.
Yeah, good. And then Cal, go ahead and just go through those settings. And here you go. Cal.
Wait, where's? Oh.
It DM'd it to you.
Yeah.
But while you're getting that all set up, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty heckin' dang great right now.
That's awesome. How are you enjoying the show so far?
This is pretty good. I've enjoyed the commentary.
What did you think of The Batman?
The Batman? I loved it. I saw it twice, actually.
Dang, you already saw it twice? Nice.
Yeah. Oops.
Sorry?
I'm going to put out a tweet here that just says like discussions are open. Come on.
There you are.
Let's
go. There you are.
Everybody.
You're in a little box down there.
As you can see, I love him.
You love him? Oh my god, that is awesome.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta buy that. But yeah, fucking yeah, I dug it a lot, and I've been talking nonstop, even to like people who haven't seen it about it.
So yeah, no, tell us what you thought.
Yeah.
Like, what are your top level thoughts on, just like the movie, going into the movie, what you thought afterwards, stuff like that.
So going in, I was at the bare minimum because I too was not like, oh, Robert Pattinson, this is going to be super great, even though I did loved him as in all those movies. Like there's one movie that came out between like two Twilight movies called Cosmopolis.
Oh yeah,
that is just straight up garbage.
But
he was so good in it.
Yeah, the Cronenberg film. Yeah.
It is so bad, but yeah, so don't watch it. But he was great in it, and I was like, oh, I think he can handle it. It's just he's too much of like a twig.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a shot where he's holding Catwoman. He's like 3 times big as her. I was like, oh, they managed to make him look bigger than I thought. Just put a small actor right next to him.
Or maybe Zoe Kravitz is just a lot smaller than we think she is.
That's true.
she standing next to her and her standing next to Rob and Jeffrey Wright in the press tours, you're like, she's like a foot shorter than everybody in this room. But yeah, and I mean, I loved. There's like it had so many like Arkham influences. Like that armor is like Arkham Origins armor. Like this is a better Arkham Origins
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a better Arkham Origins than Arkham Origins.
than that game. Ugh. But yeah, and then like all the Fincher influences, like you can tell from like Seven and Zodiac, and even the Chinatown influences, which is like the big corruption.
That's what I've been hearing the most. I really want to get into that movie for sure.
Yeah, I hesitated to watch it for like the longest time because of the director, but like
Yeah.
it is really a good movie. Yeah, we don't talk about the director, we just talk about the movie. But yeah, yeah, I saw it on that first fan event on like a Tuesday.
I'm so jealous because I wanted to buy those tickets, but I couldn't. I had to go to work.
Yeah, I got them pretty late too, so I had to sit next to like two people, and the row in front of me was all sold out in the tickets, but nobody came. So I was like, I should have moved there, but I don't want to risk it. But yeah,
So you're one of the first
then I
people
saw it
in the
in
world.
IMAX.
You're one of the first people that have seen the movie before anybody else. Then
Yeah, I did, and I told everyone, I was like, you got to go see it. And people were like, but COVID, and I was like,
But
wear your
COVID.
mask. Just wear your mask.
That's what I do in the theater. Like I might look crazy in the theater that I still wear my mask while I'm watching the movie, but I'm like, there's a person next to me like 3 feet away, like coughing. Like I think I'm just gonna wear this.
yeah, I was always
when I bought the tickets, they were like, yeah, you need to wear a mask. And then by the time like all the mandates had gone, by the time it had come out, so nobody was wearing it, I was the only one. I was like, this is awkward. And then I'm sticking a straw through the bottom. So I don't have to take it off.
That was my comment. I was going to say, like, I don't know how Frank can absolutely eat popcorn through the mask all the time. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, no, I just take it off for a second and then I just like eat it and then I just like put it back on.
I thought you like pulled
Yeah.
it, dropped it in, and it was like a little mask for your little popcorn. You just
Oh, that would be cool.
chop
That would actually be really cool.
Except I ate barbecue once, and one of my masks
Oh,
just
no.
reeks of barbecue, and I don't wear it anymore. But yeah, and, like the that car chase scene, like the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this wasn't shot as well as I thought, and then I watched the second, I was like, oh no, this is actually very brilliant because you can clearly see everything. It's just the angles are not like what a traditional car chase would be.
Yeah. I would definitely say like it felt a lot different in this movie. At least the action did. Mainly because it seems like these movies are kind of like Mario said earlier. They're definitely a product of their time. We're definitely in a post John Wick era where like people want to see the combat. They don't want quick shots of like here's a punch shot to another shot. Here's another punch shot to another shot. Here's another punch. It's very much wide. You can see everything that's happening shots with this movie. Whereas like The Dark Knight, right? I like to complain about the combat in that. It's very much shot like a Jason Bourne movie.
Yes.
And again, product of its time. We're definitely in a post John Wick era where people want to see people get punched and see the follow up punch after that. So I thought
like
that
it's
was
disappointing
really
if
good
it's
that way.
not.
Oh yeah, it's
Fuck
very disappointing if it's not.
Batman.
Oh no!
What
Hey,
the
Sly.
hell?
F9.
Hello,
I
Sly.
remember watching getting out of
Love
the
you
theater
all.
of F9 and being like, why is this not?
Bye.
Why?
Well, we lost Sly, but we also gained Mr. K-Step himself. Kyle, how you doing, man?
Hello.
Hello.
How's
Join
everyone
us.
doing?
Welcome.
Doing
trying
well. Happy Batman
trying to-
Day.
Do you want to be on camera, or you could just be on audio if you want?
I can be on camera once I figure out how to get it.
Yeah, set that up, and then I already sent you the link, and then I'll get you in.
Perfect.
He
All
is
right.
also in the Wayne Manor waiting room.
Oh, sweet.
I was joking about this earlier. Do you guys think Wayne Manor has a waiting room? Like, it has many rooms. I imagine it has like a room.
Well,
that
it's an
Batman just-
orphanage now, so
So
course
here,
it does.
actually, we're gonna bring that up later. We're gonna bring that up. We're gonna bring that up. It's definitely the orphanages are definitely just big waiting rooms when you think about it. But anyway,
30 kids to room, rats gnawing at your fingertips.
it's a waiting room that you wait years in, at least until you turn 18.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know,
You could also
actually,
join the choir.
you bring up a very good point there. So I was discussing this last night with Mario. What is Wayne Manor now? Like, is Wayne Manor the orphanage? Is
So-
that Because I remember very much earlier Riddler saying that, or Batman saying that it was donated as a part of the Wayne estate, meaning
it was on the Wayne estate.
Yeah,
there's possible there's an actual Wayne Manor that's very different and not a rundown drop house. Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's very confusing in the movie that if there is a Wayne Manor, and like we all know that Bruce Wayne as a kid, at least through the movie, was living in the tower, because Riddler says that he was a kid looking down on people from his tower. So
yeah, there's like a prequel novel, and I think what people learned from the prequel novel was that they moved there when they built the new Wayne Tower when he was like 8 or 6 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So he at least was at Wayne Manor when he was younger, but for the most part, yeah, he grew up and lived in the tower until he went off. He did all his college abroad, but that was just an excuse to study martial arts from every martial arts master around the world.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So they actually filled that in, because watching the movie, the only thing I kind of gleamed was it was kind of doing Batman Year One, the Jeff Johns sort of like Universe 2 comic, where it was Alfred that was pretty much his trainer.
Earth 2 or
Earth 2, something like that. So,
I've only read the first one, but
yeah, definitely this is definitely an amalgamation of like a bunch of different Batmen throughout the years and stuff like that. But Kyle, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
Hello, good. Can I play some now that I'm here?
Oh, you play whatever you want, man. This is an open platform for you guys.
What I tell you that this sound gave me an ear death.
I know exactly what you're gonna play.
Oh,
Did you hear it?
Not yet.
no.
yeah, that wave bike's powerful.
I'm gonna 100% guess that is the turbine engine of the Batmobile.
It is, and I'm really bummed that it didn't pick up. Man,
Rip.
Elgato wave
It
mic.
was so good when it turned
That is
on.
such a good.
Wave mic's good for not picking up
Wait,
background noise.
good noise
Exactly.
cancellation.
You wanted to actually pick
But man,
it up.
That's why you got to get a sound bar. You got to get a.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah, I
need
hear
it.
it
That's
now.
one of those.
What was
No,
that?
that's not me.
No, that was me.
Oh, okay.
That was
Yeah,
my
the-
soundboard.
Every ounce, every second I was sitting in this thing, I was enthralled. It didn't feel like 3 hours. Yeah, I could have sat there for
Did
way
you see it
longer.
in IMAX?
I saw it in Showcase Cinema's version. They call it X Plus. So it's like the best video and audio that they get in that chain.
Well, we saw it in Mario.
Got it.
We saw it the same way.
Yeah. So
I saw it in IMAX, then I saw it in one of those like premium theaters.
Yeah.
It only had like 7.1 though, and it was it was night and day. IMAX was that sound was crisp, and you could feel that.
let me tell you, I felt it in my chest in my theater.
That like,
Oh my god. It's
that whole car
incredible.
sequence in IMAX is just fucking intense.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think this is my favorite Batman movie.
Okay.
I think it might be one of my favorite comic book movies and just movies in general. I think Matt Reeves just understands Batman in a way that is refreshing to everyone else who already knows Batman. Because that's the thing. He had a big challenge ahead of him. We know Batman. We know his origin. Yeah. And the fact that we didn't get his origin like at all, it was such a refreshing thing. I love that he's still new to the game. And it's very little Bruce Wayne. And it's just Robert Pattinson being Batman, being a detective, which is like so damn good of him actually seeing, because we hear about it. He is the world's greatest detective. I feel all the other movies barely touched on it or go in depth in a way that this one did.
I do want to give a shout out, and I know that I feel like it gets lost in the shuffle a lot, and everyone talks about Heath Ledger. The Dark Knight does have a lot of detective stuff where Batman's trying to figure out what the situation. Yeah, and that's straight out, something that I think the video games end up taking in a lot of ways. But that's what I'm saying.
But it's more in the Dark Knight. He's using technology to discover things, whereas here he has that mental prowess.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
The way he answered like riddles, like
the indent.
I agree.
And when he does use technology, it makes sense, right? Because he does have the little contact lenses that are obviously out of fiction, right? But like they're used in the way he describes why he uses them. He says, "Hey, I'm up all night. I have to force myself to remember what happened throughout the night." That makes total sense because there's no way he's going to remember every single little detail that happens throughout a night of being Batman. So he records it and watches it back like a madman.
He's not Doctor Strange.
The
photographic memory.
Oh yeah,
exactly. But yeah, Kyle, you mentioned something that I thought was very interesting too. It's that this is very much a brand new Batman. He's still a baby Batman in the grand scope of things. This, like I told Mario, this is not Batman with prep yet. This is Batman with who makes mistakes, and I think that's why I like this Batman so much because he's not perfect. He in a fight he gets punched, in a shootout he gets shot, in a war of riddles and everything like that he makes mistakes in figuring it out. This is definitely going to be a Batman, which I hope in the sequel will get better. But this is definitely a Batman who still has a lot to learn. And I love that. He's not some like godlike character from the very beginning. He makes mistakes. He's human. He's very much a human character. And that's the point of Batman. He's not he's a superhero, and he eventually one day he'll fight aliens and Darkseid and stuff like that, maybe, who knows. But in the very core of what makes Batman so special to me and probably to other people is that he's just a guy. Who is just dedicated to saving people as much as he can, and it's a very human thing to want to do.
And on that note, seeing how this movie ends with him understanding that he can't be the guy out there just beating criminals up, he needs to save the city. He needs to be the person there to save everybody. And that moment in Gotham Square Garden, which is, as a New Yorker, my God, that was amazing.
That's so real quick about that, okay? Because that building might be like the inside of the Madison Square Garden.
It looks very similar to MSG.
But the outside is the Thompson Center in Chicago.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Which is so cool because when I noticed that, I was like...
Thompson Center? I was like, no way.
I'm like, I ate a burrito in there. What the fuck? Like...
cool. And what was it? Oh, and what Robert Pattinson has done in this version of Bruce and Batman, which we've gotten hints at all the other ones, mainly Bale when I think about it. Mm-hmm. Like, he's still grieving.
Yeah.
He's still grieving over his parents, and that is such a huge thing of him and dealing with how... That's why he's up all night. That's why he's, beating up the bad guys. And it's the first time I saw that still weighing on Batman's shoulders. And the sole reason of him doing what he's doing. And it's funny because one of my coworkers who's an older woman, very religious, she went in and she's like, "Oh, I hated it. He was up all night. He was very emo." I was like, you gotta put yourself in his shoes. You know what I mean? He lost both his parents. He's trying to save what is left of Gotham that he still thinks is worthy enough to save. And then when he finds out that his parents aren't all the pristine image that he thought they were, I thought it was just fantastic. Even though I knew that was kind of coming as a Batman fan, and in other pieces of comic runs, I've known that is a storyline. Mm-hmm. But man, it just and I'm sure you guys already talked about it, and I'm jumping all over the place.
Word
vomit.
This is a very open conversation.
Opening 10 minutes.
Okay, you were bringing this up again because this is. I think this is perfect as well. No, go ahead, please.
When you see somebody looking at this family with the goggles, you're like, "Oh, that's Batman. Cool, heavy breathing, weird." And then you find out it's Riddler, Paul Dano, just crushing it and very atmospheric and whatnot. And they get that whole thing. But my favorite part of that first 10 minutes is Pattinson narrating and being like, I have to be everywhere. And these different criminals looking in dark alleys and being scared because the bat might pop out of. And like we as audience members are thinking, oh, is he actually there? Is this where we're going to get the reveal? And then finally we get it. And I'm like, oh, man, goosebumps. Just when he steps out for the first time from the shadows, like, that's my Batman. That's what I want from
damn Batman.
That's what I want from Batman. I want him to be awesome. the guy in the shadows kind of thing.
Yeah. It's the simple line too of just like, I can't be everywhere in the city, but I have to try.
I have to strike fear so they know that I'm lurking somewhere.
Let me jump in really quick and just say to the audience here as well. We are jumping into our Discord. We are talking there. If you want to join us, I see some new people in the chat. So join. Go ahead and go into our Discord if you need the link. Fee is still here. You can ask for her, or I can always submit it to you, and then I will get you way into this chat. So please let it know if you want to join us. But yeah, guys, I'm mad because I don't know if you didn't hear at the beginning. I missed the first 10 minutes of the movie because I was running to work from work.
He got in
Right at the
around
train
the part
station.
where right at the train station. Yeah.
Okay.
So did you see that awesome reveal where he does come out of the shower?
Yeah.
Which is like the
clink
perfect
sound.
reveal for the beginning of any Batman series is just like, oh, no, he's there. And he comes out and it's what you expect. And then
the
it's
logo
also
is
just like
actually functional. It's an actual batarang.
Yeah, it's so fun. It's so
Oh,
damn
So
cool.
good.
I just love that opening sequence is sort of like an FU to Nolan in The Dark Knight, where it's sort of like a shittier version of that, where people are like, oh, the bat signal, we better not do bad stuff.
Yeah, and it's hilarious too because it's like even the people who are in the room, like in the train station, are looking at him like, "Who's this fucking clown?"
Yeah.
There is something I haven't seen this movie, but one of Robert Pattinson's movies that he's done is Good Times.
Yeah. So
That,
good.
that one criminal that is in the deli, Good Times Deli,
Yeah.
looks exactly like his character in Good Times with the red coat and whatnot.
Mhm.
And I thought that was just a really cool nod that Matt Reeves put in there for him.
So I want to mention two things here. One of them I just remembered. I'm so glad throughout this movie we did not hear this dumb, like stereotypical, like Chicago/New York accent version of like, oh god, it's the bat. You know what I mean? Like throughout the whole film, we didn't hear any of that bullshit.
Hey, take it easy, princess.
Hey, is that the goddamn bat over there?
The only
Like,
Italian
what
of
is
this movie just so happens to be a hot Irishman, and I'm totally okay with it.
And then
He's
the
still
second
hot in
thing,
that makeup.
oh yeah, no, he looks so fucking good as the Penguin. But the second thing I wanted to bring up was what Kyle said is that this is a Batman that's still grieving. A lot of people, when they think of the Batman, obviously, if you're not reading the comics or playing the games, your first idea of Batman must be from either one of the movies like The Dark Knight or even like the old school ones from Tim Burton or something like that. And for the most part in those movies, Batman or Bruce Wayne himself is very charismatic. He's very charming. Even when he's like not being Batman, he seems like he's still there, right?
He's a ladies' man.
He's a ladies' man. He's a playboy billionaire philanthropist. And yeah, Kyle, you're 100% right. In this film, he's very much still grieving. And this is very much a Batman and that's accurate even in the comics, where like before there's a Dick Grayson, before there's a real relationship between Batman and Alfred, or even Tim Drake, or even Jason Todd, Barbara Gordon, or any of those characters through the Bat family, Batman is very much a very depressing person before any of that really kind of is developed at all. We see in this movie that he really doesn't have that father-son relationship that he does in the comics or even in other movies with Alfred yet. Alfred is very much a character in this movie who is still very much new to this Bruce Wayne. He obviously knows Bruce Wayne as a kid, right? The kid who loved his parents and the kid who was very hopeful, very, very happy. And he's struggling with having to connect with Batman now because Bruce Wayne himself is gone. At least in this film, at least Batman is the Bruce Wayne now. And, it's definitely something interesting to do. Cause I know they dabbled on this with The Dark Knight and everything like that with Alfred and there being like, constantly telling Bruce Wayne, at some point you do have to stop this. This version of Alfred obviously is very beat up. I was telling Mario it's very much evident that he might have been in an explosion at some point even before the movie, because you see the scars on his face, he's walking with a limp, you know what I mean? He very much knew how to get away from an explosion in this movie. So this is definitely SAS version of Alfred 100%. And it's interesting to see Bruce Wayne still hurting as much as he does in this film. Like I said earlier, he doesn't really exude that much in the other movies. But Mario and Kale, like, what did you think of like just Bruce Wayne's demeanor throughout this movie? Like not Batman himself, but just Bruce Wayne himself.
I mean, I love that there's not that too much difference between him. Like he still like has enough balls to go up to the crime boss of all crime bosses in the family and just like shit on him
Yeah.
being a bad guy. Like, and you know, that's sort of like comes with like the nepotism and the him being a rich boy, so he doesn't like have to fear too much about that.
Mhm.
But still, it was just like really cool to like see even in public, he's like not afraid to call out him, and then of course Falcone's just like makes a whole joke out of it.
Yeah,
'Cause
he calls him
doesn't see this guy as a
Zorro.
threat at all.
I told Mario this last night. Falcone, when he first meets him, throws a little Batman hint there, or not Batman hint, but just like a lore hint, which is like, yeah, he calls him Zorro right off the bat. So in Falcone's time, that makes sense. For Bruce Wayne's time, judging by his age now, it really doesn't.
Yeah, Scooby Doo.
Yeah,
It's all Scooby Doo.
Yeah, he saw Scooby Doo when his parents died.
yeah, Shrek.
Shrek, yeah.
I personally dug it because, like I was saying earlier, that I felt that it hit the sort of the awkwardness of the character. He's like, I don't want to be this sort of like normal person like everybody else at this moment, because he's not that. He doesn't feel that way. He doesn't have the mask yet. He's sort of still just sort of like doing it as sort of like a cipher to get to what he needs, which is to see if the Riddler is going to mess with this thing. And yeah, I think ultimately it is very interesting on how he played it. And how that character will grow in future movies, right? So we're seeing the starting point. Eventually, are we going to get a more charismatic Robert? You know, because look at him in his interviews. He's fucking one of the most charismatic people I've ever seen. He's hilarious and funny.
I would have
you know?
listened to him talk about Final Fantasy VII more.
all day, all day.
Yeah, like we're just finding out through all these interviews, this dude's a huge fucking nerd.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the Henry Cavill effect, right? You see this big buff dude like Henry Cavill, you think all he does is probably like eat whey protein and work out all day, but no, he plays Dungeons and Dragons and plays video games.
Yes.
So yeah, good thing you brought that up, Mario. I also want to mention this here. We have some comments in the comment section here. Aaron Roots says, it's my favorite part of the film. All of the criminals preferring to take their chances with the police, then go into the dark is so good. Yes, that is 100% the epitome of what makes Batman unique, is that the shadows really are his, and that fear that he's instilling into the curious and cowardly lot that is the criminal underbelly of Gotham City is 100% the whole point of that. And the way they depicted it in the movie, they did it so well.
Yeah. I think another tentpole in Batman, just in all of Batman, is the I'm trying to think of a better word than saying Two-Face, because that's not where I'm going here with that character. But the evil side of the GCPD, the not good guys, the good cops of
The corrupt
GCPD,
side.
Yeah, the corrupt. Thank you. So I think one of my favorite scenes in this entire movie is just pure chaos when he is in the interrogation room with all the cops and he's just pounding away at them. And I think that might be my favorite Jim Gordon and Batman moment, is when he's like, all right, you gotta punch me. There's a stairwell. You gotta go down there. Gotta make it look good. And it just like that relationship is so good. I think, again, I'm saying it's my favorite for a reason, because they feel real. This Jim Gordon and this Batman clearly have had a relationship.
I one too, actually. Like, they really do trust each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it's Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt from Seven without the like that awkward like 20 minutes where they have to get to know each other.
Yeah,
but it is like, because like later in that movie they're just like working off each other and figuring shit out and getting everything done, and it's just like it's like I love that relationship because we never got that in any of the movies.
No. I'm trying to think right now because it's been a while. Who was Gordon in the Nolan verse?
That would be I know him as the guy who voiced.
Wait, I'm sorry. Say it. Gordon in the
Gary Oldman.
Yeah,
Gary Oldman.
Yeah,
Gary Oldman. Thank you.
I want to still give Gary Oldman a shot.
Oh, yeah.
Because I mean, I still get emotional thinking about it, and there's that scene in The Dark Knight Rises when he realizes it's finally Bruce Wayne. When he tells him the scene about putting the coat over his shoulder and comforting a kid. Fuck, I'm about to cry talking about it. It's still really incredible.
It's a great callback.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
it's just like there can be everyday heroes, but like his relationship like is not too and even in like Rises it like is non-existent because Gordon like gets taken out for most of the movie. Much like Alfred, like they just got rid of like every old white guy in that movie just so he could Fucking beat the shit out of Tom Hardy at the end.
I think Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox was more of that
I agree.
buddy in the Nolan movies than Gordon.
Yeah,
100%.
Advisor and also someone who can like say, "Hey, this is wrong." Like when you think about The Dark Knight, and he talks about the listening device where he can hear everything in the world. Like this is morally
First
right.
Brother Eye. I don't know what they call it in the movie though.
They had a name to it too, but ultimately the way that it had to be done in Batman's eyes, and the way that it was obviously destroyed for only this one purpose. But yeah, for sure, I agree there.
Yeah, I think Jeffrey Wright did an amazing job in this movie. I love that scene in GCPD of just like, I got you on assaulting 2 officers, and then he pushes them aside and goes, "No, you got me on pushing 3." Like this Batman also has clapbacks, which is great.
Although the line of "you have a lot of cats," not the bats.
A lot of cats. There's definitely those little like small. I know people have been mentioning this online, and I don't agree with a lot of what they say. It's just like there's definitely these little small sprinkles of like what they call Marvel moments, but I thought they were very good in service of the character because even in the comics, Bruce Wayne is kind of a huckster sometimes. Like he jokes around.
Yeah, especially the Batman animated series. The Batman animated series has some great like him just like smiling for a second and walking away, like 100%. Totally.
I mean, especially with those 2 moments, like the cat thing just adds more to his awkwardness. But like, you know, that assaulting 3, it's like, no, he's the smartest person in this room and notices everything, and that's just exactly what kind of shit a smart person would do.
Yeah.
If anything, it's sort of like his he has to say it because he knows it's wrong, and so he has to be right. He's like, no, it's actually 3.
It's 3. Come on.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see the Captain America elevator scene, but in that interrogation room with Batman and all the officers.
Oh yeah. Or like in Origins when there's like that briefing and you can just drop down and beat the shit out of 30 cops. Yeah, like something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright 100% killed it as Gordon though. I think he wasn't so serious to the point where like I thought at first when I first heard him, right? Just the first few scenes, I thought he was just gonna try to be dark and gruff the whole time, but then when it's just him and Batman, he's just like, "Man, what are you doing? Like, man, we got to get out of here." Like, Batman's he pulls out a gun and Batman goes, "No guns," and he's just like, "That's your thing, dude." Like, those scenes, they're so good.
It's good you put that out or brought that up because the first scene with him, I didn't really gel with it. Just
exactly,
because it felt like Jeffrey Wright was as Gordon in those scenes is the only reason to get Batman in the same room. It's like, "Hey Batman, look at this. Hey Batman, what do you think?" They're just simply there to kind of get Batman more involved. But the more you go on,
an exposition dumper.
Exactly. But like the more we're gone, I fell in love with Gordon's portrayal or Jeffrey Wright's portrayal of Gordon. Yeah, he's perfect.
And on the topic of masks too, he's another character who wears a mask in this film, right? Because he's definitely a lot different around GCPD when Batman's around than he is when Batman is just one-on-one with him, right? He definitely puts on a face of like, I'm in control of him, but in reality, he's technically kind of in control of me when it's just us two. So like, there's a cool little play, like passing the leadership when there's people around to when it's just those two. It's so cool.
Yeah. I mean, that sort of goes into like the thing where it's just like, if it wasn't for the police commissioner being a good friend of his, he probably would still be like a beat cop or like demoted exponentially because he's one of the incorruptible cops on that force.
Yeah, for sure. And he wasn't even Commissioner Gordon in this, right? Because the commissioner actually gets taken out.
No, he's just Detective Gordon.
But there's no
indication.
He
didn't even become the replacement.
Yeah, he just sort of like is the surrogate replacement of sort of like he came involved. So very curious how they go about that in the next few movies.
Also, the best cop that had one of the best arcs was Martinez, the cop who's like, what the hell's Batman doing here? To just him,
hey, you're not supposed to be there.
Helping him solve the end.
Yeah.
Like what a good arc for that guy.
You bring up the next few movies, Mario. And here is my one downer of this movie. I wish they stayed away from the Joker. Yes. I don't want any hints at Joker. I love the Joker as Batman's main foil. I have no doubt that the actor that they put, Barry Keoghan, I think is
Keoghan. Yeah.
Kogan. I have no doubt that he will bring a new light to a Joker, and he's going to crush it. I have no doubt about it.
Yeah. Funny enough,
just
this actor
so
too looks
Joker
very
tired
similar.
of it. Yeah, I'm just so tired of the Joker. It's weird for me to even say that. I want because Batman has such a great rogue gallery.
We
And
had
I feel like when it comes
saturation.
to the big, when it comes to the big screen, I feel like they only pull from 4 or 5.
No, agree
Like
with
I
you.
would,
Yeah.
they hint at Hush. I would love to see Hush.
I'd love to see Hush.
Or like what was
They'll
the
have to pay Robert Pattinson
Zaz,
twice.
I think would fit. Yeah, I mean the main 2 I want to see is I would love to see Matt Reeves' version of Scarecrow
Ooh.
and Mad Hatter.
Yes.
I think those would be killer in this universe. And the only reason why I'm also bummed about the Joker is I don't know how Matt Reeves and the writing team are going to differentiate between what the Riddler did and what we know of the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they're very similar from what we know of the Joker to what Riddler did in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will say this. I think we like to think of the Riddler possibly as the most sort of like someone who's able to plan this out, right? He made an excellent plan. Joker is definitely going to be the more chaotic one of like, it just sort of falls into place a lot of points. And I hope that it ultimately becomes different a depiction than, the Heath Ledger. Because as of right now, the 2 major depictions that I think that still hold the most weight is the sort of like actual Joker-esque Jack Nicholson version, right? The sort of like comic booky one, in my opinion, versus sort of like the realistic terrorist with Heath Ledger. So how do you separate and make it this one? He definitely looks, from the little images you can see, and I have to see it again because I was watching. We did the first time we watched it. We were watching it like this, because we had it was late, and then we decided to buy the tickets. But I'm very curious to like look him dead on, and he definitely looks more grotesque and more sort of like. And Frank said, you go ahead, I'll even let you say it. This is something that happens probably the Joker very early on.
Yeah, so since this is a year 2 Batman, this is obviously a Joker who's in prison already. So I would guess that the comedian stuff already happened. He already fell into a vat of acid because if you, at least in our theater, it was a little bit brighter. You can see like acid scarring on his face almost. So this is
that's not going to happen though.
No, like
Matt Reeves has already talked about him being like he was born like this. Like he didn't fall into a vat. He didn't have one bad day. He was born like this, and like how that makes you a sick and twisted freak, like looking like that with like the scarring and like always smiling. Like you can see the fake teeth and stuff like it's just giant, and like he may not have like actual lips that can close or anything.
Oh,
from just that small,
very much grounded in reality. Reasons of why he does that. So I also wanted to mention too that the actor of the Joker, usually at least in just his like day-to-day stuff, looks very similar to a certain Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely like something like that. Maybe we'll do a new 50.
Endgame.
I don't really like
Joker.
the new 52. I don't like the new 52 Jokers.
It's a little hit and miss, but I'm with Kyle here on this one. I think the one thing I don't like is obviously doing. Oh, by the way, Mario, Aaron is in the waiting room.
All right, cool. Let me pull Aaron right on in. Aaron, you are now joining us.
Yeah,
Aaron, are you there?
I mean, hopefully he becomes like.
How you guys doing? Good. You're welcome to jump on camera if you don't want to. You can stay on audio if you'd like.
Aaron,
give me just one moment.
Let me get you a link. It's actually not in Discord, so let me just give it to you real quick.
And hopefully he becomes more like a Falcon. Like in hopefully he doesn't show up like as much in the second one, but in the third one, if he's like sort of like the Falcone of that one, where it's just like he's a part of the thing, but he's not the main focus.
I don't like Joker being introduced this early as well either.
I would love it if we don't see Joker until a third movie.
I agree.
And the third movie is all about Joker busting out of Arkham. And he's gotten all the criminals riled up, and just give me Arkham Asylum on the big screen.
To back that up, obviously they announced that there's going to be 2 shows, right? There's going to be a Penguin show and an Arkham Asylum show. So really, they could start that build.
Oh, I didn't know about the Asylum one. I knew Penguin.
Yeah, that's replacing the GCPD show that was taking place during Batman Year One. So like we're going to get a super corrupted police force TV show, which I'm just glad that they axed. I got called out on Twitter for that take. Someone's like, you need to chill. And I was like, it was a very calm and chill take I had about
I don't see anything wrong with that. Yeah, no, I think Joker this early is too much. I could see how they can differentiate this Joker because, Riddler does some pretty shitty things in this movie. 100%, he's a terrorist, he's a whack job. But in a way, he's a little sympathetic in a way. Like he really is a product of Gotham City, right? Like without the way Gotham is, he wouldn't have been this way. However, if they were to do a Joker, I can just imagine a just chaos without reason, right? Like just doing things just to do things. And at least in this movie, Pattinson kind of sees the Riddler and understands maybe why he is the way he is. In that movie, I can see him just being so perplexed of just like, why are you doing this? Like
someone
just
the world's greatest detective can't figure out.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so chaotic, yeah.
And hopefully by the time we see the Joker, it's more of like a world's greatest detective, Bruce Wayne, a more Batman with prep Bruce Wayne, someone who can beat everybody else but the Joker.
Got you. Real quick, Aaron, thank you again so much for joining us. You're now on screen. Tell us what were your thoughts of the Batman, real quick?
Okay, so my thoughts on the Batman are kind of not super contrarian to what a lot of people are saying about this movie. I really liked this movie. I didn't love it, but I can't pinpoint why. It's so strange to me. But that being said, I thought all of the performances were fantastic. I thought all the action was incredible. I think the closest thing that I can find to pinpoint my issue, and it's not even an issue, it's just a unexpectation, I guess, is that this is a very different Batman movie that we're used to. Usually they're kind of more action oriented, sometimes more not childish, but more for kids with like Batman Forever and like even Lego Batman and stuff like that. This is a hard-boiled detective movie, which is great. I think that's really cool because like you can do Batman in so many different ways, and this was a breath of fresh air in that respect. But it for me, I wish there was a little more action. That being said, the action we got was so good. That car chase, oh my god.
The punches.
Oh yeah, so good.
Punches,
I felt those punches,
Oh,
man.
Yeah.
There was a scene where like he does a flip. Like he hits two people with a batter or like the grappling hook, and he does a flip over like the thing. And I'm like, no Batman has done that yet. No Batman has done something like that yet.
In addition to like when Catwoman took that guy's face and into the pool table or whatever. Oh my god,
so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have a lot of friends who were like, dude, it was so good. It's like the best Batman movie ever. And I'm like, well, the best Batman movie is the one that you like them. You know what I mean? Like everyone has their favorite.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, there's definitely different iterations of this character. We've all grown up with different iterations.
The Batman is a friend you made along the way.
Absolutely.
The Batman is family.
Yeah.
You say the Bat Family? Where are the Bat Family?
Oh
Give
man,
the movie now. Oh, dude. That being said, I want Robert to have a Robin. 100%.
100%. An actual like.
Is it
legit
A
Robin.
child.
No.
Is it the commissioner's child?
I'm gonna say no. I know
A
that's-
mayor's kid?
child?
Mayor's child. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
It could
Probably
be.
not, because that would be fucking weird.
Now that I really think about it, if there ever is a Court of Owls like
Please.
like reference there, I would say the kid might be a nice Talon down the road. You know what I mean? Like, the Court of Owls brings him in and stuff like that.
I saw people pointing out that like his gauntlets looked very similar to Talons from the comic books, and they were saying, what if in this version the Court of Owls taught him to fight instead of the League of Shadows? And I think that would be a really interesting take. It wouldn't be my favorite, but it would be a cool spin on it for sure.
True.
I just want to see the Court of Owls so bad.
No, Court of
me too.
Owls. I just think, oh my god, they
Absolutely.
would kill it. They would kill it so bad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I know
mean,
Pattinson
yeah.
also wants to see it. Like he also
Totally.
wants to do Court of Owls.
There's a great interview
That,
with
that would
him.
definitely feed in to the whole conspiracy theory of like Falcone controlling everything, but he was only a part of
Yes.
the control.
No, 100%. There's a great interview with Robert Dano and Jeffrey Wright, and I believe Zoe's there as well. But they're like pitching Court of Owls to Jeffrey Wright, and they're like, "It's awesome.
Yeah.
You gotta read it. It's awesome."
Yeah.
You gotta read this, man. I just want to also bring up some questions that we got from Twitter and stuff like that. Crafty, if anybody here has met Crafty Gamer Lady, she had mentioned that the sound design in this movie is amazing. I also agree. Just using the way they use the theme of every character within the scene, whether they're using the I believe the song's Ave Maria for the Riddler, the way they use the kind of whimsical cat kind of sounds for Catwoman sounds for the Catwoman scenes, and of course obviously the amazing theme they used for the Batman himself, especially even the car chase scene. They use that scene. I know people on Twitter already are like, why'd they use the theme so much? It's just like, it kind of elevated those scenes, at least for me. I like hearing that nice orchestral sound. Exactly. Yeah. Whenever Batman's on scene, you know what I mean? Even if it's like a little hint of it, it's really well done throughout the movie. And I thought it really made the scenes elevate a little bit more than normal.
It's the perfect tension builder. This score. It's like perfect.
Yeah, and they have it hit in so many different ways. Sometimes it's on strings, sometimes it's with like really loud brass, sometimes it's accompanied by drums. The variations can fit different situations, but it's Batman.
Yeah.
I was waiting for the Black Parade though to show up though. I was really hoping that the Black Parade would show up.
We got Nirvana.
The two notes showed up in the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, there you go. That is true.
There is one character we haven't talked about yet, and that is Zoe Kravitz's Catwoman. So I had mentioned earlier in this that everybody has their own villain in this movie, right? You have Batman obviously fighting the Riddler, and then you have on the other side Selina fighting Falcone. And if you've read some books here, I have one of the books that this is obviously based on, or this movie is, if my camera will pick it up, The Long Halloween here.
Yes. The second movie to do it, by the way. The second movie to do
it. Oh,
it.
you mean The Long Halloween?
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Let's go.
With the Batman cover?
That actually looks really cool.
Cool.
It's we know that Selina has her own little arc here. What did you guys think of this version of Catwoman?
I loved it, especially in regards to Batman, because usually when you throw in Catwoman, it's like as a villain or like it's just his love interest. And like there's a little bit of chemistry, but you could tell from Robert Pattinson's end, this is another thing I love about his Batman, is like he's not all that sexually interested in sexual stuff.
Yeah, there's an intro scene where like he holds her up, like with the contact lens, and he holds her up. He has that moment where he's looking into her eyes, and she's very much like into it, but he's just like, all right, it's good. Go get away from me.
And she like kisses him twice, and then at the end, like he tries to go in to kiss her, and she rejects him, which is another cool thing I like, because like they've sort of evolved into like going their separate ways at the end of the movie.
Yes.
But just like this is the first time I've like thoroughly enjoyed a Zoe Kravitz performance. I always thought she could do better in like everything that she was doing.
Yes,
because I knew she had potential.
Fucking agree with that. Especially one of my favorite movies that she's in, she's just a side character in, is Mad Max, and she has so very little to do in it, other than the few things I think she's in.
About that.
Yeah, she's in Mad Max.
Yeah.
I didn't even know she was in Mad Max. I'll be real with you.
That's the thing though. When you watch back the movie and you see all these faces, you're like, oh yeah, they're there. That's crazy.
Yeah.
You know.
I also dig her version of Catwoman, or Selina, because she's like the master of many faces in a way. Like she can put on the wig and she can get in using her sex appeal and get what she needs, and then she's out. Like that, to me, that is Catwoman. Sneak in, sneak out. She was amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, there's that scene where she meets up with Falcone and she's like fake crying, and it's like it feels real because she's like just the way she's like talking to him, just so like she knows the truth, but she's obviously playing him a little bit so he can lower his guard. It's really she did an amazing job. And what Kale said earlier about chemistry, like every scene where it's Batman and Catwoman on the screen, if you've read any of like the new comics from like even like Tom King or anything like that, they very much put emphasis on the Bat and the Cat relationship. Like we met on a boat, we met on a thing type deal. Every time they're on screen together, it felt real. Like it felt like it was two people really interested in each other, but didn't know how to, if it would ever work. You know what I mean?
Do you see Fee trolling in the chat?
Yeah,
by the
I
way?
am. I'm trying not
Yeah.
to laugh.
I don't have
She's
the
not.
Twitch chat.
By the way, Fee in the chat is saying it's all right. This movie's okay.
You should jump.
Matt.
You should jump in
You should
here.
jump in.
Okay.
Tell us about the movie. You apparently seen it. She has not.
Yeah, tell us about this movie.
She actually hasn't seen it. Real quick, I want to talk about this for just a quick second. We've now seen many depictions of both the relationship of Catman,
Catman
and
Batwoman.
Dude, Suicide Squad 2, bring Catman in.
That would be tight.
That would be real tight, actually.
yeah.
But no, Batman and of course Catwoman. We've had it with the Batman 66 back in the day. We had it with Batman Returns, and of course the Dark Knight. Out of the relationship in terms of growth and just the characters, which has been your favorites? I mean, if anything, Kyle, I'm gonna start with you.
I mean, even before we go
ahead.
into, sorry, I was gonna say even before we jump into that, like the progression of Zoe Kravitz from the '66, like sort of fits in line with the seductress thing. It's like I thought that was really brilliant too.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue.
No, I was gonna say. So, well, sorry. What do you think, Kale? Which one has been sort of your favorite that you've seen on screen?
On screen, I mean, I think this one. I mean, other than the obvious other choices, the Arkham games.
Mm-hmm.
That relationship was really good. It was on that screen right there. But yeah, no, it definitely, like Michelle Pfeiffer I thought was really good, but like she fit perfectly into the wacky wild world. And then, yeah, what the fuck was The Dark Knight Rises anyways? So like good thing that they got racist and said, Zoe Kravitz, you shouldn't be in this because, this is the better movie for her.
For sure.
The only positive to racism that I've ever seen.
Aaron, what did you think of Catwoman?
I thought she was good. And I think that Zoe Kravitz having one prior film of playing Catwoman really helped. If you guys don't know, she voiced Catwoman in Lego Bat.
Yes.
Did she?
did.
Interesting.
She
I
did.
didn't know that.
Yeah, she
Okay.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
She was very good, man. She knew
how to get the demeanor down at least.
100%. Yeah.
Mhm.
I really like that they gave her such a story that intertwined with Batman's story with Falcone, which, by the way, also John Turturro is Carmine Falcone. Fantastic.
Oh, so fucking good.
He's having a renaissance,
but-
everyone. He's
Falcone.
having a renaissance, everyone. I'm so happy.
Actually,
Oh, yeah.
perfect Falcone, by the way.
Yeah, he was fantastic. But yeah, like her and Robert's chemistry was very, very good. She did very well in a fight. Also her, swapping of wigs and getting into the Iceberg Lounge, and I don't remember the club within the club. But yeah,
44 Below.
all of that. 44 Below. Thank you.
It's a great,
Yeah, that was
great
all-
little
that
reference,
was
by
all
the
very
way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, she was fantastic.
Yeah, that's. Yeah, I feel
I'll be
like
back 1 second.
Okay.
Yeah, take your time. I feel like a lot of these movies, just a lot of media when it comes to Catwoman tends to over exaggerate like the sexiness and obviously the
Yeah.
little too hard on the sex appeal part, and not really get the point that the sexiness that Catwoman exudes is more of a means to an end to get what she wants.
Yeah.
Right? Because
It's
she
more of a
doesn't
confidence
really
thing.
do that around Batman as much as she does around everybody else. Right? And I think they did that exceptionally well in this movie, like where, it's very much like she tries to put the charm on Batman at first, realizes it doesn't work and just starts leveling with him as a person. And then the relationship grows because of it. She definitely sees the real person behind the cowl, and he definitely sees the real person behind her mask as well throughout this movie. It's a very real feeling relationship. I'm sure you saw that, Mario, as well.
Yes, I did. Hold on really quick. I'm going to bring someone else in here.
My favorite Catwoman is clearly Halle Berry.
Yes.
No, I
It's all good. You can
Well,
I,
I legitimately think Zoe Kravitz version of Catwoman Selena is my favorite, although Michelle Pfeiffer is a very close second. And they fit, like you said, Michelle Pfeiffer from the wacky world of Batman fits that world, and I think Zoe fits in this more grounded world way better than Anne Hathaway ever did. And it just works. And I hope we get her in a future movie. I hope she's not gone forever. I hope
she went to
Nightwing
Rome
with
for a
her.
little bit. She'll be back.
Yeah, she went to Bloodhaven. She's bringing Nightwing back. Yeah. So it's yeah, she's amazing. I do have to bounce, but before I go, another scene I just want to talk about, just because I loved it so much. Because the entire movie, I thought Riddler knew that Batman was Bruce Wayne, and that scene when it's just Batman and Paul Dano as Riddler, and he's going Bruce,
So good.
and then Pattinson's Batman is just like, what do I do?
What
am I going to break my rule? Am I going to kill him? Because no one can find out, kind of thing.
Yeah, he looks at the camera, and he's like, the camera seeing this too.
Yeah. And then just obviously the reveal that Riddler still has no idea, and he's just like the one that got away, the one that ruined the plan. It's just, oh my god, that scene is incredible. If Paul Dano doesn't get some award recognition, I'm gonna be very upset. I mean, most of this cast, but like, it's really good.
Yeah.
All right.
As Al Tribesman said to me before I saw the movie, it feels like a great piece of cinema that just so happens to be a Batman movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Kyle, thank you so much for joining us. It honestly has been a blast to hear you talk, and hope to talk to you more on some other versions of this show. So,
of course,
definitely.
Love y'all. Sorry, Alec, I couldn't stay.
Yeah, no problem.
Talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, Kyle. Take care.
With that, we of course have Alec Bobco joining us, which, if by the power of magic, he should show up on my screen if I did it right. Yeah, I did it right. All right.
How's it going?
Hey, it's going well. It's going well.
You're now here. Give us your thoughts on the Batman.
Yeah, so I saw it Thursday night in IMAX, which I'm so happy I did, because
that's the way
this
to see
movie,
it, for sure.
It really is. It really is. Like we said it in our spoiler cast. Like,
making me real jealous about that.
We got to go see it in IMAX, Mario, before
I'm debating so I'm gonna go see it again really quick. But I was thinking about going. You ever heard of a place called Hollywood Boulevard?
I know exactly what you're talking about, where you can like order food and stuff like that.
I was thinking about going there, but you know what? IMAX might be the way to go. So
IMAX might be the way to go.
Do it on IMAX.
Go ahead.
It's the sound design. It's because and I heard you guys talking about the sound design earlier. Like the sound design, the score in this just the experience in IMAX. It makes this movie. It feels like it just makes it more of an experience, and I love this movie. Like, we had our spoiler cast on shared screens, and Josh, he was saying that like the first part of this movie, you could almost see it as if it were a comic book with the narration, like the yellow boxes, the rainy night, and it's like, yeah, like just the way they're talking about Batman as the symbol of fear and vengeance, and then by the end of it, he's that symbol. He wants to be that symbol of hope, and like I had mentioned earlier, Gordon, like I just loved this portrayal of Gordon. Like like they're almost like buddy cop, but at the same time, it's like you could tell like they got each other's back. Like, we don't have Commissioner Gordon like we had in previous versions of Batman or in the games, where he's got his whole team of people that trust him and trust Batman. It's just Gordon.
Yeah. And I love it when Gordon's even shocked that for himself in terms of the corruption level that goes so deep in the movie. He is completely dumbfounded, which I'm not sure how I can take that, but I love the fact that at least how he responds to it, I still find very interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is, at least in terms of time period. If you wanted to like get nitty gritty with it, it does still fit in line with like year 1, year 2 Gordon, where like he knows there's corruption, but he doesn't know how deep. Right? He might have dealt with. I don't remember the cop that because I know he was transferred from GCPD from Chicago to Gotham for ratting out another cop.
Yeah,
for being corrupt, and then he does the same thing when he's in Gotham in year 1. I just don't remember that cop's name, right? But yeah, you can definitely tell he still doesn't really know how. He knows there's corruption, he just doesn't know how deep. And it definitely feels really unique for that character to not be in the 100% in the know like he usually is in other media.
Yep. And like seeing how deep that corruption goes with the club within the club. And then you see Selena go in there with the contact lenses and see how literally every politician from Gotham is in there.
Yeah. Every single person that's needing to be the person in charge, is absolutely corrupted in there. And I do like that this movie sets up those spots of like some of the corrupt people that end up being the victims of the movie. Some of them held pretty high places of power, including the DA office, which now means that there's an open spot in the DA office. And I very wonder how that's going to fill out, which very, very interesting. Frank, if you don't mind, I do want to talk about something that I feel like is probably one of the most controversial things in the movie that I keep hearing on TikTok. And honestly, it just makes me want to make these videos like yelling at them.
I think I know what you're going to talk about, but go ahead.
Let's talk about the third act of the film, the final act, okay?
Yeah.
I'm going to go one by one. Yeah.
Very much influenced by the book right here.
Yes, that's right.
If my NVIDIA broadcast would actually let me show it. It's Batman Zero Year for those who didn't see it.
Yeah, Batman Zero Year. And of course, let's go ahead and I'm going to go one by one and just tell me, did it work for you? Did you feel that the layout of Riddler's plan made sense in a way? Or were you also one of the people that thought like, hey, I'm not quite sure why this is adding up in the way that it is? Al, since you're just joining us, I'm going to start with you. Yeah. What did you think of the third act, the Riddler's third act?
Well, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. Like, it was one of those, like, I was just kind of, I mean, before my friend and I, we went to Buffalo Wild Wings before, so I had a couple drinks. So I was, I was starting a little bit of a buzz.
You had a good experience at Buffalo Wild Wings. I've had a bad one recently, and I'll tell that story later. But yeah.
I went to beat down before the Batman also. It's the way to go.
But it's Kismic. It's Kismic. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. But for me, it was more just like I said, I didn't hate it, didn't love it, because it's just like, you go to this arena that's like higher ground supposedly, but then it's dug further into the ground, so once the water gets there it just floods. Like, just, I mean, that kind of just didn't make much sense, but at the same time it flowed to me. It kind of flowed well with the movie, I thought. So
Aaron?
I liked it. I really wish that we would have got more with Batman and the Riddler than just between a sheet of glass in Arkham, which I get it. If Batman finds the Riddler, he's going to get pummeled into dust. I get it.
No. Very punchable Paul Dano.
Yeah, 100%.
By the way, real quick, there's an article on Slash Film that is 20 different movies in which Paul Dano is punchable, and it's hilarious. So
yeah, I saw a compilation today where it's just Paul Dano screaming, so it's pretty sweet. But yeah, like, it kind of just wrapped up kind of quickly. I feel like the movie as a whole was kind of ramping up to this big thing, and then it was like, hey, here's what it is, and it's like, oh, okay, that's still pretty bad, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. Like, not as in like, oh, it's a bad thing, like bad as in like, oh shit, he's gonna flood the city. It's not as bad as like not as consequential, I guess, as I thought.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
I forgot to mention the "Hey guys."
Yeah, I love that, and the fact that he's not using the voice changer because he only uses that for the media, which is great.
Yeah. The follower thing was hilarious too. Just like, thank you to all my followers. I appreciate it. The donations are great. Like, it's just like,
I saw
subscribe
on Twitter. Somebody was like, "Finally, Batman is taking down the people who deserve it." People on social media with less than 1,000 followers, which is great. But yeah, it was fine. It had a really great action scene when he shows up and just messes up all of those Riddler henchmen. Every time he was punching one of them, though, I was like, I wish this was the Riddler, though. Sure. But it's fine. But yeah, it was.
You shot a couple of them too. Don't forget that.
Well, he made them shoot them. It's different.
Because they pulled the trigger.
Yeah, and then him just getting lit up by like the shotgun blasts and stuff was like gnarly, and that was great.
And then seeing the suit after he gets like, you can see the suit like dented like hell because of it. It's
also,
so cool.
After that, okay, so I'm gonna see what you guys think about this. I have my thoughts, but that vial he takes out, do you guys think it's adrenaline or do you think it's venom?
I think it's straight adrenaline.
I do too.
Yeah, I know people are drawing like it's green, it's thing.
Yeah,
I think it's a nice little nod, but I think if this Batman is grounded in reality, it's very much just regular like an adrenaline shot, because adrenaline would do the same thing to, like, if you take a shot of adrenaline like that like straight to your leg, that much of it, you probably react just how he did in that movie. It's definitely a shock to the body more than anything.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it's also a nod to it. Like it's a possibility that he might try something like this down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just think it's Venom because it's clear that he's just losing control on it. And like plus everything else is just a nod to something else from the comments. Whereas like if that scene took place in a Nolanverse, you'd be like, no, it's just adrenaline.
I would love for it to be sort of the proto Venom, right? So something that he uses to. It's a version of adrenaline, but it's also this, and then that could be used in a future film
a little bit more.
Yeah, and then in a future film, that could actually be the cause of like, oh, he's the cause of Bane in a little way. Like if it was something that he created, that'd be interesting for sure. Kale,
that would be interesting. Yeah, like if it's like, you know, obviously Wayne Tech probably doesn't all 100% operate in Gotham, and like in a facility where like in like deep South America where they probably source these ingredients.
You mean Belle Reve?
Oh, Belle Reve, yeah. Bane is like, you know, in this area, and he, you know, they raid the facility or something like that. That would make sense too.
Yeah,
because I think they mentioned that he, like, at least in like one of the books or for this, like the prequel novels, that he's been experimenting with like different things and stuff like that. So it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. Kale, so we're talking about the third act of Riddler's third act and how people I feel like either misconstrued what is actually happening, or what are your thoughts, obviously, on it, if you think it was a good plan or not. What are your thoughts on it?
It was a great plan. Like, especially like him getting caught and then it just being like, no, wait, there's more. And like him actually, because that's the other thing about like a Batman movie, not like a TV show or anything. Like something big has to fucking happen, and like not like sure they ended the head of corruption, and that's kind of a big thing. But like something that drastically changes the future, like destroying the water levees and all that stuff was just, I thought was brilliant.
Yeah.
And them going into that, and like keeping it so secret for so long, like. You know, there was that scene of him holding the torch, but other than that, like even that, you can figure it was like Riddler flooded all of Gotham. Like,
yeah. I mean, so part of me is, I think, still some people misconstruing that as like, oh, he just flooded thing. That's not the only thing that it did. There's a reason why those goons are there in that building specifically. It was a center for people to go for refuge that, yes, obviously still gets flooded because, fucking shit's going to happen regardless. But the whole purpose was to get the elite of all the people that he believes that is corrupt, including the mayor, who may or may not be a good person, right? Seemingly a good person, has a very unrealistic first name, like be real or whatever her name is, Royale. And so the idea of putting all the people there in that one spot where it's literally just a shooting range. Yeah, Raish, right? This is Bruce Wayne's birthday party. But then having them take them all out there.
Like, yeah, well, also, like, I mean, good. Like, Man of Steel did this where they pulled imagery from 9/11 and then people hated him for it. But like any good movie, like that's just what happened to the Superdome in New Orleans. Like it was the evacuation spot for everything, but it ended up getting flooded too. Like, like he clearly did his research. Like that shows how smart he is. He did his research. He knows that if these were all to break, the only evacuation or the only shelter point is the garden. Like, knowing that, and then knowing like, oh no, this could be like a straight up shooting range because they're gonna have the mayor's like thing be there. Yes. So like it weaves in and out, and it's just like, and it pulls from things in real life, and I just thought that was brilliant. And like, it made total sense to me. Like,
it's like, oh, it just blew up some things, and I'm like, well, not only that, there's also people that probably drowned from all those levees, but also for the fact that the way that it seemed like it was a central point to guide these people in that area, and for Batman to and this is the thing I think also people are very controversial about, that people are mad that Batman didn't figure it out and stop it. This is, to me, year 2 Batman, man. Like, he's not going to be the most absolute brilliant fucking person in the world, at the very least with this.
No, and
this Batman makes
especially
mistakes
early on. To him to learn from his mistakes, and that's what makes him a great Batman. Like towards later in like year 10 or whatever, it's like he's made mistakes, and like even like him getting beat up and double teamed constantly is like something where it's just like, this is the beginning of his story, and so he's not going to be perfect, but like eventually maybe we'll see that on screen. Who knows? But like it was, for right now, it is the perfect thing to do for that movie.
Yeah, and I saw people critiquing the moment where that cop was telling him like what that like carpet tool was.
Yeah.
And people were like, Batman didn't know what that was, and I'm like, well, you could kind of chalk it up to Bruce Wayne's privilege a little bit if you really
100%.
wanted to.
Mhm.
I
don't know what the fuck it
and,
was.
He's a rich boy.
I didn't know what it was either. But yeah,
Yeah, and like all the higher ups in the GCPD don't know what it is because they're also privileged, and like it is the one beat cop who's has all his family members have to work, so he just like knows from
Of course,
his personal experience.
cop knows what a carpet tool is.
I was just gonna say, I mean, like, just because it's their privilege, it's like I mean, I didn't grow up privileged.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't know what the heck it was.
Yeah, no. Well,
I mean, I'm a Mexican
and like
dude,
the
and I still
reasoning
don't
that
even
he
know
knows
what
what
the
it
hell
is because he specifically knows someone who does that work.
Yeah.
Like,
Right? Yeah.
it's not like again, it's not, but like it is like sort of like nobody ever knows. And then he also just saw it like 2 hours before he found out what it was. Like he didn't even know what the murder weapon was until he found it.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, this is definitely where the indent came from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I did want to bring up some stuff too as well. Just small little tidbit, like little Easter eggs throughout there. If you guys have any Easter eggs that you remember throughout the movie, please bring them up as well, because I noticed a few things on my second showing. So one of them being that in the beginning of the movie, we see Bruce Wayne on a motorcycle, right? We see the Drifter Wayne, as I like to call him, on a dirt bike, very much hidden throughout the city. He kind of blends in through the city, even when he's like tailing somebody like 2 feet away from them. I don't know why they don't just turn around, but he kind of blends in within the city, right? And by the end of the film, that's the Drifter Bruce Wayne thing very much plays under the motif of I am fear. I am going to look at Gotham as this fearful person, and they won't notice me because I blend in, right? And then by the end of the movie, where Batman is like, "Oh, I'm making a difference, not the one I made. I'm bringing hope to these people." You notice that he ditches the original bike altogether and and has the first version of the Bat Cycle, and he's riding around Gotham now, not as Drifter Wayne, but as Batman. And I thought that was very interesting, because it seems like by the end of that movie, he really does shed the idea that he has to be Drifter Wayne to get information. He now wants Gotham to see that there is a Batman riding around and there is someone out there for them. I thought that was a cool little detail. I don't know if you guys thought that was kind of cool, because I was like, why does he now have the Bat Cycle all of a sudden? It's like, oh yeah, because he's hopeful now. A little bit.
He's going from just pure vengeance to like, I also have to be vengeance, but bring hope to normal people, so people have to not only be afraid of the shadows but see me in the light as it is, which I thought that was beautiful. But I mean, mine was the Hush reference.
Hush.
The Hush reference that was like he's like and talking about Hush's dad and everything was, I just thought, brilliant way to cap off that whole video, where it's just like Hush. Which of course, like we like, if you know the comics, you know that Riddler was also Hush in the first version.
Yep. Aaron, I heard you had something to say. Do you have any like little tidbits there in the movie that you noticed?
I'm sure I do. I can't remember them off the top of my head, but to what you were saying a minute ago was Batman being in the shadows and then brought out to the light for Gotham to see him for the symbol of hope that he could potentially be and now is. The Riddler had that clue in the movie where it was saying the rat with wings bring him into the light, kind of a foreshadowing there.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I didn't notice that. That actually makes total sense too, as well with that as well. And then Penguin also says it too. Is like a bat could be a rat with wings.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. They said it in the movie. They did a rat with wings. I was like, I leaned to my best friend who I was seeing it with, and I was like, why? It's a bat. It's clearly a bat. And they're like, yeah, I've been thinking that for a while, but like, yeah, the Penguin had to point it out to him.
I have some comic book things that I thought were really cool that sort of connect to this. I mean, obviously, the early suit is kind of semi-based on, if I'm not mistaken, Zero Year in a lot of ways when it comes to the gauntlets and obviously the bike at the end there. The obvious connection to this is that this movie is very much connected to The Long Halloween, featuring multiple of the characters, which The Dark Knight also, has a scene that actually copies verbatim out of the comic book, which is really cool. There were some other cool little references here or there that I enjoyed in terms of movie things, like, yeah, the fact that this is very much a send up to Seven, right? All the way based on the characters and the way that they interact with the story. There was some other stuff. It's so hard when a movie I've seen like a week ago, and I'm just like, yeah, I remember in the moment, I'm like, oh my God, it's that thing. And I'm like, that's really cool.
Throughout the movie, I was like writing down on my phone, like certain things and stuff like that. One of them being that, so if you guys remember in the scene where Falcone and Selena, where Selena is obviously going to go shoot Falcone, you notice the attire that she's wearing is, if I'm correct, it's a corset and leather pants. 100% right out of Frank Miller's Year One. If you remember her attire in Year One, I have a picture of it on my notes here. Literally right out of that as well. I believe there's also a scene where Falcone calls Batman Zorro, or sorry, Bruce Wayne Zorro, where they first meet. A nice little reference to the Mark of Zorro from some of the original comics. What happened?
Well, he also says at the when he gets arrested, he talks to Gordon. He's like, "Oh, you're with Zorro."
Oh yeah, you're with
He
Zorro.
also says that too. Yeah.
Yep.
Zorro and the Gay Blade.
And then obviously with that same Falcone scene, mentions being on the bed with or being helped out by Thomas Wayne on right on the table right out of Year One as well. There was one more scene as well. Penguin calls Gordon and Batman the world's greatest detectives. I thought that was a good little nod as well. And then the last little note I have here, at least in terms of references, I thought it was very interesting that when the last shot you see of the Iceberg Lounge is underwater. It seems like it's going for some comic accuracy there, because notoriously the Iceberg Lounge has some kind of pool or some kind of like aquatic nature to it, and it seems like now it's like built into it because of the tragedy that happened. And
well, it's usually next to the museum, which is weird because it's a nightclub inside of a museum.
That's awesome. There's two actual things in this. I found this on TikTok that blew my mind. Was the bouncers of the club? They're two twins, right? There's, if I'm not mistaken, I think Two-Face had two twins as goons on the animated series. Very much, I think they call the Ace Brothers. I think, and I thought that was actually go ahead.
And then in the Arkham games, there's the two giant twins that share both of their together they have two of the same arms, so
Mr. Hammer.
Kind of a reference to that too.
Yeah. Thought that was a lot of fun there. And then the one other thing, and it had to do with Selena. God, what was it? Oh, you know what? It's kind of still like a reference to even The Dark Knight Rises, but mostly the Year One, where Selena has this thing with another girl in terms of like caring for her and having like sort of a relationship with, in terms of a friend. And in this movie, is caught in the crossfire. Obviously, I wish that maybe that could have got fleshed out more. It sort of was, it got afterthoughty after, once we're getting into the third act.
We thought it was Holly at first.
I thought it was Holly.
When she disappeared.
Notoriously in Year One, Selena takes care of a lot of the prostitutes and makes sure that they are not being abused or hurt.
Especially the younger girls.
Very similar here. Yeah.
Except this one it's more like they're lovers in this one instead. It's heavily implied. And
I think Zoe Kravitz said that she played it like her version of Selena, like, which when she was calling her baby and stuff and all that, I was like, oh, well, this is her girlfriend.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I get.
And then she goes and kisses Batman, and you're just like, oh, she's a bi queen, if there ever was one.
There was one Easter egg that I'm remembering that I saw, like, and this was when like promotional images of the Riddler came out. But the like clear lens or the clear frame glasses that the Riddler wore, he has the exact same glasses as Jim Carrey's Riddler in Batman Forever.
Mario,
really?
It's very funny.
Oh, it's so cool!
Amazing,
so fucking cool. That's such a cool little detail to throw in there. 100%. So, I mean, that's basically all the details I found out. Like I said, if you guys have any other details, bring them up. But I thought we would be able to close this out with, so we obviously know how the film is. We also know how the film ends. What do you guys think of the future of this? Like, do you think, for one, I really hope Rob Pattinson actually likes being Batman, because I want him to be my Batman for a long time. I want him to keep making these films, but obviously we're probably not going to get 20 films out of this, right? So they're going to have a plan.
No.
Maybe 3 or 4, maybe even
Five max,
get 3.
yeah.
HBO Max, yeah.
Yeah. Where do you guys think we are now, based on how this movie ended, and what do you think we can do in the future? What do you want to see in the Batman 2? I'm going to start with Alec here. Alec, what do you want to see out of the Batman 2? What is your top picks for this? This is your draft pick for Batman 2.
Yeah. So we again just talking about this on our spoiler cast. Like this, like somebody said, I can't remember who said it, but this is how they said it. I'm like, yes, I want that.
Mm-hmm.
For the second movie, it's basically just Hush. We get Hush, and then all that, and then for the third movie, it's the Killing Joke.
Okay.
Mm.
All right.
So we don't hear anything from Joker in the 2. We just get that tease from this movie, and then we get Killing Joke in 3, and then this like Barbara Gordon gets introduced in 2. So
yeah, no, I could see that. That would make total sense. Aaron, what do you want to see out of the Batman 2?
I'm with you. I want more teasing of the Joker. Maybe like at the end of the Batman 2, he escapes from Arkham. Whether he takes the Riddler with him or not, I don't know. And then the third movie is Batman and Joker. Kyle had a point earlier where he said, like, man, we're doing the Riddler really soon again. And we're doing the Joker really soon again. And to me, like, I see a lot of people being like, oh man, they're just doing the Joker again. They always do the Joker. I understand the frustration, but the Joker and the Batman are both, like, they're the same. The Joker says it all the same, all the time. They are like, they complete each other.
One can't exist without the other.
Yeah, and we've had so many Batmans and so many Batman movies. Why can't we have a Joker every time? Like, I understand people's fatigue with it, but like, look at Jared Leto's version of the Joker. Say what you will about it, but we didn't get a whole lot of him. We got a face off with him and Batman in the extended version of Justice League, which I loved that part, but I wanted a movie where they were facing off against each other.
Sure.
But for back to my point. For the Batman 2, the villain, I'm not exactly sure. Part of me would love promotional materials that they did for this, but instead of red, it's blue, and they do Victor Freeze, played by Giancarlo Esposito.
That would be good.
And
I love
it. I can see it right now, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yep.
And or I want Clayface. That might be too insane, but they could do more of the Matt Hagen type Clayface, where he's like an actor and he like covers himself and disguises himself, and then something can happen and he can become Clayface. That would be harder to do. I'm leaning more towards Mr. Freeze because he's one of my favorite Batman. But yeah, then Joker gets out, and then the third one they butt heads and they go at it.
Yeah. Kale, go ahead, go next, and then I have a whole master plan that I want to talk about.
And then I'll go after you, Mario.
Yeah. And then we have a question that I want to bring up after this.
All right. Definitely, no Joker. I just want to maybe keep him just in that Arkham series if they can afford to pay the actor for a series. But definitely, like, I think they should like introduce more of like a Bruce Wayne persona side, and I think the perfect way to do that is like him and Harvey Dent are friends, and this is when Harvey Dent runs for DA and he's helping him with that. And I don't think we get Two-Face at the end, but like that. And then I think also the other side to that is like we do the Scarecrow origin, where we find out he's doing like he's the psychologist who's doing experiments on like rich people with the fear toxin and stuff, and then it turns into a whole thing at the end, and he like tries to fear toxin the whole city, and then we go into 3. Like I'm gonna do 2. Then we go into 3, and then we finally do the Court of Owls and everything. And part of their plan is to release Joker, and he like sort of develops his Joker toxin from the fear toxin.
Okay.
And like goes into chaos with that, but he's also at the same time, Batman is dealing with this Talon in the Court of Owls too. So like I think it could work out perfectly if we do that, or if they do that, if we do it. Let's make the next Batman movie.
I'm in.
Yeah, we're all
I mean,
directing right now.
Honestly, I just want to hop to all these multiverses where like these are like the trilogy we get, because these all sound awesome so far.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
In the same aspect, I'm actually going to take a lot of the elements that both of you were saying, because these are the things that I've been feeling as well after coming after the movie. And I know that a lot of people bringing Mr. Freeze into this. I honestly think that character needs justice on film. I know that in animation, he's been top tier. Heart of Ice is one of the coolest things of all time. And I do want to see that interpretation. I wouldn't mind it being a combination, sort of like how Scott Snyder did, where it was both a little bit of the animated series, but he put a twist on it of like this sort of maniacal person. Now, granted, this movie's based on some sort of realism. However, some pretty fantastical stuff still freaking happens. I still think that is allowed in this world. I think that it can go where someone has a disease that somehow has to be maintained by cold. I think that is totally fine. If there's a way to do the freeze ray gun or some sort of bomb of some sort, totally still think that the second one can set up. I also want, though, that the series to progress over time. In terms of this is year 2, but I want to see what is year 5 now, and where's Bruce Wayne progressed at this point, and I want to be able to see that him take on bigger villains like a Mr. Freeze, and then again I think the Joker and all that stuff that can absolutely still just be permeating in the timeline of the of the TV show, while Penguin is also sort of doing things. And I think Penguin could probably come into form in this movie. Because why not? 2 ice villains, right? Two watery based sort of things would be kind of fun.
Perfect for a city that is flooded right now.
Exactly.
And a club called the Iceberg Lounge.
Exactly. And then this is probably where we get the sort of beginnings of Robin. I like at the end of the movie or whatever, Robin comes into place. The third movie would be year 10. Robin's a little bit older, obviously. This is where we're finally getting the machinations of the very first movie, which is who was really behind everything. It wasn't actually Falcone. It was, in fact, the Court of Owls. Those are the elements that I bridge from you guys and from things that I've been percolating. Like, I'm like, that would make total sense to bring and have it full circle back to the original movie, kind of in the same way that I enjoy The Dark Knight Rises, is it ties back to the first movie and allows it to have sort of this completeness of a trilogy. And then, yes, you can absolutely bring your Joker in here.
Yeah, great way to have a trilogy is to definitely go back and call back the first one and then plant little elements in that second one where it's not like obvious that the Court of Owls exists, but like very keen-eyed people will be like, oh, they do exist. Like,
yeah, and it could be the return of Selina in the third one, and then my other thing would be Batgirl might even just be there because he's going to have an established relationship with Gordon at this point. And if I'm jumping ahead, we don't need to explain why Batgirl's there, especially since we have a movie somewhere over here, and that's why the Joker element will be
whatever
the fuck it is. But the Joker side of the movie would be it's the death of the family stuff where Joker's going and taking out family members or going to try to take out family members, while at the same time Batman has to deal with the Court of Owls, which is keeping him away from protecting his family. I think that to me is probably the more interesting, and then kill Alfred. Sorry, that was the one thing. And this is, if we did talk really bad about this movie, they didn't have the balls. They didn't have the balls to pull the trigger. They made me feel like they were going to do it, but they didn't do it.
Yeah,
I'm also
got close. They got
It's
close.
probably because they didn't have a whole lot of scenes with them together. So
that's really it.
Yeah,
you need
We'll
to
see
build
the
up
sequel
so you
more
care.
of.
That's all I'm saying.
Then
That's
imagine
that is a
why by the third
shortfall.
one,
We need more Alfred. Yeah,
but by the
more
third one,
Alfred.
I think that's where I feel like the stakes come in of like, you need a member that dies. He would have to be the one.
Plus, how cool would it be if through the second movie, so the end of the Batman, he comes into the light. Second movie, he's doing more for Gotham and making it actually a better place. Third movie, Joker kills Alfred and he slips back into the vengeance Batman.
Totally, 100%.
Before I get on to my Batman 2, Amy Chibi in chat says, if you had to pick between this 2 villains to appear in the next Batman movie, would you rather see Black Mask or Baby Doll? I don't want to see Baby Doll. As much as I like Black Mask,
I want to see
feel
Ewan
like we already
McGregor
have a Black
again.
Mask in this movie. You know what I mean with the Penguin. But I would like to see both.
I think they could exist in this world, obviously, but Black Mass is not that far off from any of the people that we saw on here, to be honest. But Baby Doll as a concept is hilarious, especially if you can bring Scarface
I mean, again,
into
they
it.
say there's going to be a like a power vacuum, so maybe he throws in a little bit of element to that, and he's part of the Court of Owls, of course.
Yeah,
and that's why he has the mask. But yeah,
great question.
So the Batman 2 for me, I think about this. I thought about this a bunch of times, just like whether it can go. My first thought is definitely like No Man's Land from where we are. As much as I want to say it's very, very much Zero Year, the power struggle that's going on with like the Penguin and possibly other villains throughout the Batman universe that are probably lying dormant right now, who will probably rise up a little bit when the city is hitting martial law right now. There's so many possibilities there. I would love for the Joker itself to be the Thanos character of this universe, right? Constantly referenced and constantly teased, but not always kind of behind the scenes, more of like a puppet master. It seems like, at least with the Riddler, he wants to use the Riddler for what is going on, and it seems like we're going to see the Riddler in the second movie anyway. If you guys have been paying attention to the Rada Alada website, and if you haven't, I would love to send you guys links to it.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I deciphered the last message last night, and the last message on that website is Gotham loves a comeback. So more than likely we're going to see the Riddler again. If I could play this out my way, I would say let's introduce the Court of Owls in the second movie. It doesn't necessarily have to be the overarching villain, but at least introduced, right? And I would love for it to, at least this version, this Batman right now is very much alone. He has nobody but Alfred. And that could be a good thing, that could be a bad thing, but this would be a perfect time to introduce Thomas Elliot, right? Introduce Hush. I think I'm saying this right? Thomas Elliot?
Yeah,
I can't remember. Yeah,
Thomas Elliot is Hush. I forgot who. Like I keep forgetting who the dad is. That's why I keep saying it's Hush's dad.
Hush's dad. Yeah. So introduce Thomas Elliot, but Thomas Elliot who's being controlled by the owls, right? Right now, Bruce, like Batman is 100% de-establishing everything that the Court of Owls might have established, right? There's definitely a big rift in the city itself, and it might be time for the Court of Owls to come in and step in and figure out how they could fix it. And in my mind, the best way to do that is a Hush that is controlled by the Court of Owls to get rid of Bruce Wayne. That way they can plant their own Bruce Wayne, right? They don't know who Batman is, but they know Bruce Wayne, and they know that Bruce Wayne money could definitely turn the tides of what's going on within this whole power struggle of Gotham. So why not introduce a friend to Bruce Wayne, get him nice and cozy with that person, and eventually that person tries to betray them and become them at leisure of the Owls. At least that's how I would do the Owls right now. And then obviously you can elaborate more on the Owls throughout the whole thing. I would love to see more villains in the next one. I want to see this power struggle really take effect. I want to start seeing mercenaries as well. We might see some people get hired by the Penguin. KGB, so we might even see. I want to see Deathstroke. I don't want to go Deathstroke yet. Deathstroke, I want to save Deathstroke for a good one-on-one. I wouldn't want him to be used and kind of done with, but like Deadshot, KGB, all these other mercenaries throughout like the Batman mythos that you can throw in there and just have Batman fight toe-to-toe with somebody who is toe-to-toe with him. I would love to see that on screen. And of course, if you wanted to end it off in the third trilogy, finally reveal that Joker was behind all of it altogether. He's fed up with playing his games, and he is enacting his end game, which is the gassing of Gotham. If you've read the New 52 comic and everything like that. I would love to see a Joker that is 100% unhinged and just not caring about the whole, I love the whole dynamic between Joker and Batman where it's like, I respect you enough to not kill you, but I'm going to constantly test you. And I really do love what Snyder did with Endgame, which was, look, we've played this game for a while. I'm kind of over it. You're kind of over it. You have a family. You keep killing me, quote unquote. Let's just end this. This is me serious now. This is how it's going to happen. And that Joker is scarier than any other Joker I've ever read, because he is 100% not taking off the gloves and is not playing anymore, to the point where if you've read that, I'm not going to spoil that comic, but the ending of that comic if you read it. And it is a really cool, well-written thing. And I would love to see that in the movies as well. And I would love to see Mr. Freeze, man. Giancarlo Esposito as Mr. Freeze sounds like the coolest thing in the world. I would smile ear to ear from that. I would be with a permanent Richter's grin by the time that movie's ending if that happened. But yeah, that is our discussion on the Batman, guys. Thank you all for coming in today. I really appreciate it. This is our first little format into this whole thing. I appreciate you guys coming in, just giving your thoughts on that. I don't know. I really don't know how to end this.
I'll go and I'll just say thank you, Al Bob, for coming on over. If you want to go ahead and give us tell us where we can find you on the net, man.
Yeah, you can find me pretty much anywhere on social media at Alec Bobco. And if you want to hear more awesome thoughts about Batman, you can come check out our spoiler cast over at youtube.com/shared screens. Not gonna toot my own horn here, but that might be our best podcast yet.
Oh, hell yeah.
We have some amazing discussions on that.
Nice.
Man, not the Bridgerton podcast. Anyways.
That's a long one. If you guys, they're all like 2.5 hour episodes.
100%. Aaron, where can people find you on that? And where can people maybe see you soon on something? You can tease it if you want. Totally up to you.
So I am on I'm on pretty much every form of social media at Aaron Roots 427. If you need to look me up on YouTube, type in Aaron Roots Ascender. I'm gonna let you figure out how to spell that because it'll take up too much time. But yeah, I am making videos all the time. I just started streaming on Twitch recently. And I'm hopefully going to be making some videos for Tech Raptor soon. So stay tuned, everybody.
Oh yeah.
Kale, where can people find you?
People can find me on Twitter at Kale Ryder and right here on Twitch, Kale Ryder. I think next Friday, speaking of Batman, I made a pledge during a charity stream that I'm going to play through Arkham City and Arkham Knight in one sitting. So I think sometime around noon Pacific this Friday, I'm going to do that. So check me out there. And then, and maybe I'll make some more of my YouTube film analysis things. Definitely, I'm waiting to do stuff for the Batman when it comes back on, or when it comes to HBO Max.
Yeah.
But be on the lookout for Twitter for those videos because I have quite a few that I've written but have yet to record.
No, that's cool. And the fact that you could beat Arkham City in 5 hours, but I don't know how long you could take to beat Arkham.
Arkham Knight's a longer one. Arkham Knight's a long game.
That's mine.
Apparently it's about 10 hours if you rush through it, and I'm under 5 hours on Arkham City already.
You should be good.
Yeah,
Arkham City's such a good.
Oh, I might go back and play some Batman games after watching. I need more Batman in my life. There's I have an itch, man. I like scratching at my neck every morning.
Harley Quinn show, very good. If you haven't watched that.
Harley Quinn show,
yeah,
I gotta
really
catch up.
Season 3 coming this year sometime.
Yeah, I was debating on buying an iPad literally the other day just so I could read comics again. I was this close to spending a lot of money.
I gotta catch up.
That's why I bought a Fire tablet. They're only like $100.
Yeah, they're not bad. They're really good.
That
comics.
is what I use.
And you can sideload the Google Play store on it very easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I also want to throw shout outs to Mr. K-Step himself, Kyle. Thank you for showing up on the show. You can find him on Twitter at Mr. K-Step. Also, thanks to Crafty Gamer Lady for sending some questions earlier today. You can find her at Crafty Gamer Lady at Twitter. And then thank you to Amy Chibi for also giving us some questions as well.
Yes. Frank, this has been a very successful first step into this, and I mid-show.
It's not chaotic at all.
No, not at all. It actually formatted pretty well, and there's no trolls, which is fantastic. And,
surprisingly.
But I texted you mid-show and told you this is awesome. So
yeah, I'm glad this worked out. I definitely want to do more of these with other series. Obviously, we're probably going to do this with me and Mario are already talking about this, like probably Multiverse of Madness when it comes out.
Yeah.
Big Morbius.
So if you guys wanted to come on a Multiverse of Madness, by all means, we're going to talk about it same way we're doing right now. Yeah, we're gonna.
We got to do Morbius.
Kale, I'll be there for Morbius for you. I'll do Morbius for you.
Just because
I'm gonna go see it
you came in for Batman, I'm gonna come in for Morbius as well. I'll watch Morbius. This is what gets me to watch Morbius. But I want to do this with other things. I know all of us in the sphere of podcasting have our own thing and stuff like that. That's why I kind of wanted to have something where you can come in, say what you want, drop out whenever you want to, without the 2-hour time commitment that you usually have to. And I'm glad you guys came in. Thank you so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. Giving your thoughts on the Batman. I love how varied everybody's thoughts were. It's definitely cool to see a different perspective on this movie. Definitely put a smile on my face as well. But yeah, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
No, that again, thank you so much for everything. And last, actually, shout out Fee. Made this background in terms of our colors. It was totally all red before.
Awesome.
Totally quickly in 10 seconds, just like popped it out and made it red. So
it's got that nice Mr. Freeze look to it.
Little gradient overlay.
It's moving into it. Like it looks so good.
Yeah.
Shout out to Fee. We wouldn't be where we are in Point in Progress without Fee.
That's right. Speaking of Point in Progress, I do want to mention before we totally shut off, we're going to be doing a watch party. We're going to do it on March 27th. We're watching The Boys Diabolical, the new animated cartoon that is on Amazon. We get to watch all the episodes all on our watch party. I believe we are starting that roughly, about like 6 p.m. Central, somewhere within that time. If anything, I'll put a graphic up before we ship this out. But ultimately, yes, it's also my birthday, but don't worry about it. You don't have to give me any gifts. Other than show up, that would be great. But yeah.
The gift that keeps on giving.
The gift that keeps on giving. Again, that is awesome. But yeah, by the way, Frank, we should call this Drop In Drop Out. It just makes sense to me.
Drop In Drop Out. I kind of like that name.
Drop In Drop Out. It's just
Great name.
I have to clear it with my friend Logan, who had a game podcast that's dead from years ago. But other than that, this is totally different. This is a totally different medium.
Should we give him $5?
I asked him. This is funny. Before we close out, I did buy those rights from him when I was still at DualShockers. We were going to bring that thing back, and then I left. So I technically own them. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to Drop In Drop Out.
We'll definitely be doing more of this in the future, and we would love to have you guys on there. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you for dropping in.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was fun.
All right, Bat fans, it's time to close out of this one. Enjoy yourselves. Have a good weekend, and keep on trucking.
That's right.
Excelsior.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Oh yeah, dude.
You batshit crazy. Oh man, that was a lot of fun, everyone.
Yeah, man.
Thank you. Rada.
Have you guys
Has anyone else no Spanish here?
Have you guys seen? So you guys went to the website at all? Like the last day or so.
No.
So did you download the file?
I have not gone. I've watched people do it though.
So right now, if you go to the website, it's already done. It's already 100%ed. You'll get 2 messages. You'll get one where it'll tell you like I'm here with my best friend. You'll be seeing us soon or something like. I don't remember the full message of that. And if you click it, it downloads a zip file. Says what I know, and it's basically just everything the Riddler had in the movie, like all the dirt and stuff like that,
like
and including his
blueprints
journal.
of his traps and stuff, which is really cool.
Notes on it and everything. It's a really cool little like tidbit there. But if you refresh the page, it says you did so well, and then it's one more little like cipher, right? Like the little red cipher, and that's what translates to Gotham loves a comeback.
Interesting. So we'll see.
I had a family leave, like with little children, right as that the police commissioner video showed up with the rats and stuff. Just a fucking family of 4 just jets right out of the theater and never came back. I was like, oh.
I love the part where they're talking about the rat, and then Gordon's like, look at what it did to my partner's face. And the Penguin's like, what are you showing me? Come on.
I loved it. So we didn't really talk a lot about the Penguin, but you know what? Fucking shout out to Colin Farrell, man. That was fucking
shout out to that makeup team, man. My God.
Incredible. He looks
his
like
little waddle when Batman and Gordon were driving away.
He looks like he can be brothers with Dan Aykroyd in that one movie, Nothing But Trouble. He like has him.
Oh, the one where he has the dick nose? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he did an insane job in that movie, man. It's that whole movie is just like there's something special there. I'm really hoping that translates to whatever they eventually move on to.
Yeah.
The TV show.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Dude, if that's how good their Penguin makeup looks, imagine what Two-Face.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god.
I hope that he's blue like animated series.
Oh my god, stop teasing me. That'd be so great. Purple.
What if it's Billy D. Williams?
Please.
Justice for Billy D. Williams.
Please.
Did you guys see the tidbit on the Batmobile, by the way? Somebody had mentioned some things that were like behind the scenes. So like apparently the back of the Batmobile is a jet turbine engine, right?
Damn.
And apparently the front of it is at least from like the design aspect of like how they made the thing and behind the scenes is an electric vehicle, like a Tesla.
Oh wow.
So that would
Oh.
explain how Batman might have moved it to that scene. Because people were wondering, like, how do you move a jet turbine engine when it's that loud, right? And it's like, oh, maybe there is a stealth mode that just runs on pure electricity. Because those cars are silent.
Smart.
That would be
Yeah.
cool. He uses the jet engine for intimidation, and then the rest of the time he stays super quiet. I like that.
Super
idea a
eco-efficient
lot.
until he's not. Totally great.
Yeah.
They're
These
so
gas
quiet they have to
prices, you
add
kinda have
sounds
to.
to it to
Yeah.
make it a real car.
Yeah, like
That's so
that
smart.
that jet turbine has to be expensive to run. That's like $1,000 a minute.
So in the prequel novel, like he used that car for street racing, like illegal street racing,
Did he?
like
my
that
God.
Batmobile. Yeah.
And then if I'm not
So
mistaken,
apparently it was already built.
oh, that's awesome. And I also heard that the Riddler was a dasher. He was an Uber
Yeah,
dasher.
he almost got ran off the road by the Batmobile before he became Riddler.
That's so cool.
boy. So I'm gonna go ahead and start getting us ready to send off to somebody. I think Gino's on right now, so I think this will be fun to just say hello to Gino, say hello, give him some big beautiful kisses, and let him know he missed out on a good time. All right. So
Yeah, I was gonna message him, but I did. By the time I I was about to message him, I realized he was already streaming, so I didn't.
totally,
message him.
totally. Tell him I want to give him beautiful butterfly kisses. Okay, I love you all, and enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. Take care.
Hell yeah. Take care.
Bye.
Have a good night.
And there we go. People are being sent away.
All right, now I can say what I truly feel. Fuck the Batman, man.